experiences.
Yeah.
You're doing well there, Davin?
No, I'm in Vrindavan. Doing well.
You must be doing well to not make offenses, stay in Vrindavan. You must be doing very well.
Depending on the mercy of the acharyas.
Mercy of the
Makana.
Haribo.
All right.
Well,
So
nice to see you again. Long time.
Long time.
Everybody with long time.
yeah.
Shanta Maharaj, we have some bad news about Avadut Maharaj.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope so.
Krishna, dear devotees, please accept a humble obeisance. All glories to Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Assembled Vaishnava devotees, and all glories to revered speakers for today. Today we have three wonderful soldiers who are going to be sharing with us the genesis of Hare Krishna movement, Iskcon, in West Africa. We've already had 2 days gone, Monday, Tuesday, and both days have been wonderful. And we know that the wonder will continue throughout the days, the weeks, and the months, and probably for the rest of our memories. So, of course, we are live now. So, Salika Prabhu, would you be kind enough to introduce His Grace Makanata Skara Prabhu, and then Prabhuji may begin to speak. Because there are three of you, we humbly suggest to the speakers that all the speakers try to speak within 1 hour frame, not more than that. So others may also be able to speak and not get the devotees too tired. We are in Kali Yuga. Most people cannot sit at one place for too long. So, Salika Prabhu, if you may go ahead and do the introduction of His Grace Makanata Skara Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Srimad Prabhu. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, even though I wasn't prepared for this. I'm caught up in like video with so many back-end technical things to do. And it is a great pleasure for me to introduce one of our great pioneers for what we see today as the Krishna consciousness movement in West Africa. Let me say that it is a kind of a great fortune that I found myself in contact with Makanata Skara Prabhu. And then from the moment I started having a conversation with him, I could see the spark of energy. I could imagine what was the energy as a then, not for it to have
Salika Prabhu,
long.
There seems to be some unwanted sound at your background.
Okay, is that sound gone?
Yes.
Okay, good. So when I met Prabhu,
no, it's back. You have 2 devices opened?
yes, and I think I've muted the other one. I don't know why it refuses to go off. Wait just a minute. Just a minute. And I can't shut down this. Just a minute.
You are muted, Salika Prabhu. You may unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, but the sound is still going on at the background.
Yeah, I've tried to mute you, and
All right, you go ahead. Go
yeah,
ahead.
let me,
Introduction, and then you
okay,
mute.
let me try to. Yeah, so I was just trying to give a little background of my good fortune of meeting Makanata Prabhu. Maybe probably towards the end of the class, when this noise is back, I will have opportunity to speak a little back to him. But from the what I have known about Prabhu, Prabhu received his first initiation from Srila Prabhupada at the temple in Denver, Colorado, sorry, in November of 1972. And he received his Diksha initiation, second initiation in October 1973. He was the head Pujari of the new Jagannath Temple, Jagannath Puri Temple in San Francisco, in California, Prabhu from 1974 to 1975. And from 1983 to 1985, he traveled and preached with Upananda Prabhu, now Avadut Maharaj, in Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Ghana. In 1983, he officially opened the temple in Nigeria, Port Harcourt Temple, and many other services he did in Nigeria. These are some of the little few things I have to say about Prabhu. Maybe probably when Prabhu starts speaking, he will give us a little more dose. You know, sometimes it's very difficult for the child to tell the story of his father's birth. So that is the case I have here. So, but I'm sure Prabhu will do more justice to the introduction of his background as a pioneer. Hare Krishna.
Well, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Salika Prabhu, for the introduction. And Makanata Prabhu, thank you so much, beloved uncle. Thank you for being involved in this pastime sharing. And with that, you may unmute yourself and you go ahead and then share the nectar with us all. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Jai Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
The story, how I first came to Africa, I think is pretty amazing itself. Before I even got to Africa to begin preaching, actually, I had never been a preacher before. I had been a pujari. I never had any much experience in traveling and preaching. So one day in mid 1982, Bhakti Tirtha Swami arrived in New Dwarka. Was living in New Dwarka for quite a long time before that, and at that time there was a lot of politics going on. There were many problems in the society about the acharyas, the what do you call them, the zonal acharyas, things like that, and the Prabhupada disciples were having a very hard time adjusting, and they were given ultimatums that they will have to accept the system, or if not, they could free to leave. So the Prabhupada disciples in New Dwarka and probably many places were feeling very much under pressure, and the whole atmosphere was one of just everyone was complaining, and the whole thing was politics and complaining, and it was just getting too much. So I was feeling that instead of complaining, why doesn't someone do something? Do something for Srila Prabhupada, do something positive. So at that time, Krishna arranged for Srila Bhakti Tirtha Swami to travel through to New Dwarka. He was on his way looking to recruit some devotees to go with him to Nigeria to preach. So I heard that and I said, well, that sounds something that I might be interested in. But anyway, here's a zonal acharya, so I'm not sure if that's going to work out very well. if he's going to be open to working with a Prabhupada disciple like that. So anyway, he was staying in his quarters, and I went up to see him one day, and he was so humble. He was so nice and kind and friendly, and he greeted me. I can have tears in my eyes just thinking about it. So he greeted me, and he talked to me about preaching in Africa, how wonderful it was, how exciting, how exhilarating, how the devotees were just so wonderful. And he promised to give me full facility. He promised there would be no politics. There would be nothing at all like that. So, I mean, it was so nice to hear him speak. It's so just honest from the heart, and very friendly, and he was unassuming. He didn't come across as being, oh, I'm a guru, I'm an advanced devotee, like that. He was very one-on-one with one Prabhupada disciple to another. So I agreed in mid 1982. I agreed to go. So we made arrangements and agreed that I would travel to Lagos on January 1st, 1983. Okay. By the way, I know many of you are devotees, have been traveling and have experience traveling, but I didn't. I had no experience traveling outside the country. So never try to travel to Africa during New Year and Christmas because uh, everyone is trying to do that, and the plane gets fully booked. And even if you had an okay ticket, that's not a guarantee that you're going to get on the plane. So that's what happened. That's what happened to me. So the whole thing about this experience, this pre-experience, pre-preaching experience, is how Krishna can protect his devotee, the devotee who's giving up everything to preach on his behalf. There are many instances where, as soon as I accepted and agreed to go to Africa, Krishna began his protection, his mode of protection, so to speak. So I took the flight from Los Angeles to Heathrow in London, and to get a connecting flight from Nigeria Airways to Lagos. So the flight was, I don't know, like December 30th, or maybe it was December 31st. I don't know how the time differences are, but suppose it was December 31st. Okay. So I arrived in December 31st and was supposed to get a connecting flight that day to arrive in Lagos on 1st. And so the flight was fully booked. There were just queues of Nigerians with huge cloth bags piled to the ceiling on these airport carts or airport trolleys. And one person didn't have one trolley, one person would have like 3 or 4 of these big trolleys. It was a long line of trolleys. It was so full of people that we couldn't get on the flight. The flight closed. Okay. So what to do? Then I felt like, what am I going to do now? Krishna arranged for the airport staff to bring us to a hotel to stay overnight for free and pick us up in the morning to take us to the airport. So the next morning we got on the flight. It was okay. But when I arrived in Lagos, it was a day late. So the devotees had no idea that I was coming late the next day. They had apparently gone to the airport the day before, and I wasn't there. So they just kind of gave up. They didn't know what to do. Back then, there were no cell phones, so we couldn't just give a call and say, I'm stuck here a day later. Come pick me up. So I didn't have a telephone number. I had the address, so I couldn't call the temple. So standing there in the arrival hall in the Murtala Mohammed Airport in Lagos. Didn't know anyone, had no place to go, and I didn't know if to go left or right or what to do. So then Krishna did something very interesting. There was a Muslim man on the opposite side of the hall who was dressed in Muslim attire, looking at me very strangely, looking at me as a, what are you doing? Dressed just like I was dressed in a dhoti and kurta. So he walked over and he asked me, "Excuse me, sir, who are you? Why have you come here?" And I was just thinking, Dave, that sounds like something the reporters used to ask you to Prabhupada when he used to arrive in the airport whenever he traveled to different countries, and they would ask him, "Why have you come here?" And I had this feeling, like I had this goosebumps, and I had this feeling that the answer was, I've come to teach what you have forgotten. I've come to teach the love of God. Can you say Hare Krishna? And the guy said it. He said Hare Krishna. So that was a good beginning, and I felt pretty positive after that. A few minutes later, Krishna arranged another protection. A young Nigerian couple saw me, and they noticed that I looked lost, and they came over to me and they asked, "What's going on? What do you have anyone coming to pick you up? You alone? What's the only place to stay?" And I said, "No." I explained that I came a day late, and my people were expecting me the day before, and so they didn't know to come and pick me up that day. So they offered to take me to their home and then stay overnight, sleep at their house, and the next day they would take me out and find the temple. So that was very good. So we got to their house, and they gave me some water, and they gave me a banana, and slept overnight. And then in the morning, they took me in their car, and they took me to find the temple. The temple, as devotees here already know, was on 2B Coker Road in Ilupeju, Peju section of Lagos. So they knew Ilupeju, they knew where that was. So they found Coker Road, they found the temple, and they pulled up in front of the temple, and I got out with my bags. And when I went into the compound, somebody saw me and yelled, "Hey, he's here! Makana is here!" And immediately, like dozens of devotees just kept pouring out of the temple, with starting a huge, ecstatic, thunderous kirtan that lasted on for like a half an hour. It's a welcome kirtan. So nothing I've ever seen before. It was so ecstatic, so wonderful. So that was the experience of just getting to Africa was really interesting, very wonderful experience. So then the next step was preaching. Some water. So I met the devotees. I met Avadut Maharaj, who back then was Upananda Prabhu, and Bhakti Tirtha Swami and Brahmananda Swami came down and took me upstairs to the sannyasi. What if they wanted to open a temple in Tordhorka? Devotees like Avadut Maharaj and some others apparently had gone there previously, but the Indian community, they weren't willing to help finance the temple unless there was one person in charge, someone who's going to stay there and be responsible, so that then they would feel that they would be able to finance the temple. So Upananda Maharaj had met some very key Indian people. One was a Mr. Pathak, who was sent by the Indian government, who's a specialist in water resource management, to work in the Secretariat, in the River State Secretariat. And he was a great supporter of us. And then there's a Mr. Shivlani, and Mr. Pachizia, and Mr. SWAMI. They all supported us, very, very vital in their support. Mr. Pathak had a government guest house next to the presidential hotel, where and he gave Nanda and I just let us stay there whenever we went to Port Harcourt, stay there for free. So that was our base of operation. So we traveled there frequently in 1982, in the beginning of 1982, up in first half of the year. We frequently drove there, or sometimes Upananda and I took the public transport to Port Harcourt. And so we met with the Indian community, we preached to them, cultivated them almost 6 months. And eventually, Brahmananda told me that the temple, the way that he learned how to open the temple from Shri Prabhupada, the first step was to open a P.O. box, post office. And that is the official step in the temple. The temple is officially started when you open a P.O. box. So he ordered me to go to Port Harcourt and do that order and to P.O. box. So Ekadev and I drove out to Port Harcourt, and we went to the airport, to the post office at the Secretariat, and unfortunately they were full. They didn't have any. So the next other available post office was in Transamadi, which was kind of difficult. It's a difficult place to get to if you don't have a van or something. So it was the best thing we could do. So we opened the P.O. box, which is still operating for the temple address, the Transamadi P.O. box 4429 Transamadi. Okay, so we opened that. So that was the official opening of the temple. That was what I guess would be the month of July or August 1983. And by September 1983, the Bhakta Godhead issue for September 1983 was the first issue that showed Port Harcourt, that listed Port Harcourt as an Iskcon temple. So if you look at that, I have the PDF files here that I found online, that the August edition of Back to Godhead in 1983, and before that, in those issues, there was no issue, there was no Port Harcourt temple listed. So the first time it was listed as a temple was in September 1983, which means that, I don't remember, but it must have been July or August that I told Brahmananda this, that we opened the P.O. box, because Brahmananda communicated this to the Godhead magazine people to include the address in the magazine. It must have taken a month for him to tell them and to get it ready. So that's how Port Harcourt was officially opened. Okay, now the physical opening of the temple, that's the next step. The next step was that we continued preaching to the Indian community, Nanda and I and Ikadev, and we kept going and coming and staying for 2 weeks and then going back to Lagos. And then finally, Brahmananda, Upananda, and I, and I know someone else, went to Port Harcourt and met with Mr. Pachizia, who was the head businessman in Port Harcourt at the time. And we told him that Makana Taskar was going to be the devotee who was going to stay there and to be the one that they can trust and depend on to be there to manage the temple. And for that, he would financially support us. He would give the monthly rent for a temple. So he agreed. So we got the agreement that he was going to give the money, he give the luxury for paying the rent for a temple every month. So the next step was we looked around. We looked around for a suitable place, and we found a nice house, and that was later in 1983. And Brahmananda gave me about 4 or 5 devotees from Lagos to bring to the temple to man the temple, the new temple. So we all went there. We settled in and made a nice altar. And devotees went out and preached and distributed books like anything. It was so successful. And the first day they brought back someone to make a devotee. I mean, it was just so nice. And we were having programs, Sunday programs, but the Indian people, they did really appreciate African devotees. Yeah, there was a little discrimination. We had the Sunday program, and the Indians didn't want to take part in the program together with the Nigerians. So what to do? So I figured, well, we have 2 programs. One program for the Indians, and then one program for everyone else. So that went on for a few months, and that worked pretty well. The Indians were coming; they were very happy, supporting us, bringing boga and giving the monthly rent. And then finally, they saw how the African devotees, were actually very nice, and they started to respect the devotees. We could eliminate the program for the Indians and merge them into the program with the local people, and it worked very well. It was very nice. So that's the kind of basic story of how Prabhu got off the ground. After that, 1983, and then it was 1984, and Upananda and I started traveling to West Africa. Throughout West Africa, we went to Freetown, Sierra Leone quite a bit. We were there every week, and back to Lagos, and traveled to Freetown. And there was an Indian man there who gave us a house to use as our base of operation. And eventually, I took a few devotees from Lagos to stay there in Freetown to preach and got to get the temple off the ground. Preaching was okay, preaching good, but it was very difficult to stay in Freetown. And people are not like Nigerians, very how to say this delicately, but just to get the picture is that on the street there were beatings every day. The Sierra Leoneans beating their own people every day for stealing. The economy was so bad that people just had no alternative but to steal, and it was very, very challenging. And the Indians wouldn't want to financially support us because they already had an Indian temple there, a Hindu temple, and they already had a guru. So that made it difficult to kind of compete with them for their finances and their support. So after a few months, 4 or 5 months, we kind of closed up back to Lagos. Upananda and I traveled to Monrovia, went back and forth in Monrovia. We had just one person there who was favorable to us, but not enough because there was also another guru there already who the Indians respected, followed. So they weren't interested in having another group. Like they didn't want to have Iskcon there in Monrovia. So that didn't work out. So we went back to Lagos. Lagos is Lagos. Monrovia was an interesting place. We had a a man who used to put us up overnight in his house. A man whose name was Mr. Olaya, was the chief uh, officer of Nigeria Airways in Monrovia. Yeah. Upananda somehow cultivated him, made him friendly to us. So every time we went to Monrovia, we could go over stay at his house unannounced and stay there for a few days or a week even. Now, Liberia was the only place in Africa where you could go into the bank and change money for US dollars. That was a very interesting thing about Monrovia. But the other thing that we experienced, and Krishna helped us, kind of saved us, protected us in this case, is in Liberia, you need an exit visa. Not only do you need a visa to get in, you need a visa to get out. So we didn't know that. So Upananda and I were leaving at the airport, and the big immigration officer, big tough, honorary looking guy, told us, well, where's your exit visa? You don't have an exit visa, you're not getting out of here. So we looked at each other and said, a light went on. He said, we had a name card of the chief immigration officer of Liberia. We had met him the first day when we arrived in Monrovia. We went to meet him, went to see him and talk to him, and he gave us his card. So we took out his name card and we said, the head of the immigration told us that we don't need an exit visa. So if you don't let us leave, you're going to be in big trouble. So he did. He let us leave. We got out of there with our lives. So anyway, that's the end of that story. So it's less than an hour, Prabhu. I think I've exhausted my tale for this evening. But I just want to say that for those who preach and surrender their lives to Krishna, he promises to protect them. And this I've seen in my preaching experience. In Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that in Saranagati, he says, your lotus feet, O Lord, will certainly shelter me. There are no other protectors in this world of birth and death. Which is very nice. So thank you for listening. I'm going to this.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for sharing these amazing pastimes with us all. Well, before someone else comes in to speak, dear devotees, if anyone may have questions or remembrance of some of the pastimes shared, Prabhuji, one may do that. I see there are a couple of hands up. Prabhuji, but before the devotees ask their questions or share contributions, whatever, I would like to find out from you, because I saw at a point you were a bit emotional when you were talking about His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. And I wanted to find out from you, what was the preaching style? What was the preaching mood when you were there with His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj? And what particularly did he do to make you feel assured that, well, even though I've never been to this place before, but I think I'll be safe here? If you may share that.
Sure. Well, from the first day that I arrived in Lagos, Maharaj welcomed me open arm, gave me a big hug, and after that he was just telling me, instructing me what he wanted, what kind of preaching he wanted, what he wanted me to do, what his plan for me was, and he and he gave me all the facility to preach, that he promised me in Los Angeles when I met him. He gave me all facility. His words of encouragement. Okay, that's important. His speaking to me when in Lagos was the same as when we were in Los Angeles. And he treated me equally with respect and love as a godbrother and as someone who was coming to preach in his zone. And he trusted, I think he trusted me that I would represent Srila Prabhupada and himself to his disciples, which I had no problem doing. I was very glad and happy to do so. And I think there was a love and trust bond between us. There was a time when he traveled to meet me in Port Harcourt. And he came to the temple and he stayed in the Shanta Maharaj may remember. He stayed in the back room off the temple room, the back bedroom on the right, and that was his quarters. And he invited me in to kind of sit down and just chat, have a talk, and in a friendly, personal way, friendly and personal. He was very personal, very friendly. So all of that just combined into all the time that I was there to make us a very tight team with Upananda, Vidut Maharaj, and Bhakti Tirth Maharaj leading from the top and directing us, Vidut Maharaj and myself, where to go to Port, go to Monrovia, go to Freetown, go here, go there, but in a very direct way, you know, as a preacher to a preacher. So that's about what I can say. And when I became emotional because uh, he was really like that. He was actually very friendly and personal and loving, and to me. And so that's one thing that helped make my preaching there in Africa a success. Without his support and Brahmananda Swami's support, I couldn't have done anything. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Well, thank you so much for sharing this with us. I believe there are a couple hands up because by Sri Guru Krishna's grace, there are quite a number of the older devotees here, and they're happy to have your association, so they may have some questions for you. His Grace, Mother Gail, please, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna everybody. Yeah, I was just intrigued by the fact that you said that you were simply a Pujari before, right?
Pujari, yes, right.
You were not a traveling person, you know, at all. And so I just found it curious that,
Yes,
you know, you chose to, you were so enthusiastic to take on such a project, you know, and such a culturally diverse, you know, from what you were accustomed to. What made you go in, well, you know, both feet? And maybe the answer is the same to what you gave to Sahadev just now.
it was really kind of a crazy thing to do. I kind of admit. I never even traveled outside of America. I'd never been outside the U.S. Um, Traveling and preaching while I was a young bhakta in Denver, and we had traveling Sankirtan. We'd go out in a van from Colorado to some the states that are nearby Colorado to preach. We stay overnight, then go back to Denver like that. But I was never kind of say a big devotee or preacher or a book distributor or anyone known. I was unknown to anyone. The only thing that I really did as far as service goes to be a pujari, and that was most of my experience. The head pujari in San Francisco and then in Berkeley when we moved in 1976. So yeah, the fact that I got up and moved not only out of America but to, let's say, Africa, kind of a big leap of faith, and I don't know how I did it at this point.
Yeah, that's my
but
question. You know, what
but
gave you that courage? You
but
know?
but as I said, the atmosphere in Iskcon at that time was very very depressing, and there were just people. Everyone was complaining and becoming discriminated against. Srila Prabhupada disciples were being told basically to leave the temple, get out. If you don't accept the guru authorities, acharyas, if you can't accept that, then goodbye. Yeah, hit the road. And the Prabhupada disciples were very stressed out, and it was a very very bad environment. And as I said, they were just complaining. Everyone was just complaining, and I felt that got fed up. I got fed up with the environment, and I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave Shri Prabhupada's service, and I didn't want to leave to go to another guru or anyone else. So I felt like, well, instead of complaining, why not do something for Srila Prabhupada? And that just kind of hit me that that's the only thing that you could do. And at that point, Krishna sent Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj to Nudwarka looking for someone to go with him to preach. It's just kind of coincidence. And I just listened to him and I got hooked. And that's kind of why that's how it happened.
Yeah, I was also wondering what it was that, you know, so from the beginning made him feel so much. How did you endear so much trust in him? You know, what do you think it was about you that inspired him to want you to be the one to take on this project?
This project, you mean opening the temple in Port Hooker?
Yes.
Well, what else? Kind of easy. I guess I was the only one there.
No, I mean to even send you over there.
Oh, to send me there. Well, it's yeah, I don't know really. I guess he was just hoping to get anyone, and I guess he would accept anyone who would be willing to go. And so, lucky enough for me, I met him, and lucky enough, he met me. So, Krishna's arrangement.
So that question, at that time, we were looking for anybody who would come to Africa.
Yeah.
We were looking for people. In fact, Brahmananda Maharaj, Sripa Brahmananda Maharaj was asking all his god brothers, please send people, come visit. Nobody will come. Nobody will come. We were fortunate at that time when I was with Brahmananda alone that, anyway, I will say this. I didn't want to speak, but then he told me, you know, Srila Bhattiteta Maharaj had then just taken sannyas, that he was going to come. So he came in 79. And that 79, it was only 3 of us. And, you know, so
you and Brahmananda.
Brahmananda, Batitete Maharaj with our driver, Tahiru. And we
Was
were the
Upananda?
you
Upananda
remember
was
Tahiru?
no.
No, okay.
Only
Tahiru was the driver. So
Dave only.
no, Echo Dave was later. Echo Dave became a devotee later. So
Tyro had left, but the time Prabhu came, Tyro had left that.
Hmm?
Tyro had left already.
No. I went with Tahiru to Ghana.
No. By the time Bhakanta Prabhu came, Tyro had left. He was not there. By the time Bhakanta Prabhu came to Lagos.
That was 82.
80,
83, sorry.
83.
Tahiru
Tahiru was with us all the time.
In Ghana. He came to Ghana after.
Yeah, but by that time, when you came, I had Adams.
Yes.
And Tahiru was in Lagos. No, Adams was with me in Ghana. Tahiru was in Lagos. No.
Because I know that, anyway.
I was there. Tahiru never left us.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj, for chipping in.
Okay.
Shrimad Acharya Prabhu, please you may unmute.
I don't know if you can remember me, but I followed your steps in Sierra Leone. But there's something you mentioned.
Shrimad Acharya Prabhu, can you check your microphone? Your sound is not very clear.
You mentioned Sierra Leone, is it?
1 minute.
Okay.
Okay. Is it okay now?
Yeah, much better, yes.
Yeah, so first my humble obeisances to Makananda Prabhu. Like I said, I don't know if you can remember me. We kind of passage through first one another here and there. But then I took the relay in Sierra Leone. You went there with Jyoti Prabhu, and what I gathered from Jyoti Prabhu was that you left when there was first there was the incident of the stealing where you were. People coming and stealing doties from the line, and from time to time coming inside and stealing. And then, then there was also a problem with the building you were using for preaching. I think the matter was taken to the court. And that was the time you left to Lagos. And I think Jyoti Prabhu also, but he went back, and then the case was won. The case was won. The Indian guy was SR Trading, Mr. Brown, if you can remember. The guy was helping. So I don't know if you could throw some light on this part of the story of Sierra Leone, if you could still remember. But from Jyoti Prabhu, he told me that by the time you left, there was a case in court because of the house, and the landlord was playing some hanky-panky. And the matter was taken to the court. That was when you had to go to Nigeria. So that was just to get some clarity on that.
The house that we were staying at was on Walpole Street, which is off of Sieka Stevens Street.
Yeah.
Where that big cotton tree was. Remember that?
Yeah,
so that's Walpole Street. On the corner of Walpole Street was the U.S. Embassy, and then a few hundred meters down on the right was the Russian Embassy, and then the second block down on Walpole Street was a blue house, which was owned by one of the Indian Sindhis, Indian traders, who used to who gave us that house to use for free while we were there. So yeah, Jyotir, that's the name. I had forgotten the name. He's a very nice devotee, wonderful. I can see his face. So thanks for reminding me about his name. So one day we were having the morning program, and I had left my bag with my passport and money in the bag in his bag, and put it in the bedroom in the back while we were having arti. Now the back of the back bedroom had bars on it, so of course no one could come in and take anything. But the back of the side of the house was up on a slope, so someone could kind of walk up and to the almost to the window level. And so what they did was they took a long pole and they fished my bag out the window. So when I went back into the room, my bag, my passport, everything was gone. At that time, Brahmananda had sent a telegram for all of us to come down to Lagos because they were going to take us all to Mayapur. But now I didn't have a passport. I couldn't leave, so I didn't know what to do. So I went to the police station and I filed a report that I have to get my passport. And I went to the embassy and they said I need a police statement. So I went to the police station and they gave me a runaround. They wouldn't give me the statement. So a week went by and they still wouldn't give me the statement. And I realized that we had missed our chance to go to Mayapur, couldn't leave. But the devotees had an opportunity. They could have left if they wanted to, and I would have stayed alone. They decided that they would stay there with me. So I realized that the way to get this police certificate that was proof that my father was stolen, to give to the embassy. The only way to get that was to give the police a bribe. I didn't know that. I didn't, realize that was the system. So by the time I realized that, I gave them some money, gave them Lakshmi. I got the certificate and went to the embassy. And then it took like 2 weeks to get the passport. So it was much too late for us to leave, to go back to Lagos. So anyway, we kept on preaching. Now, I don't recall what you said about what Jyotir said about me leaving, and then the devotees stayed in the house. What I remember is that we all left. We all decided that we couldn't keep the temple going. We couldn't take devotees. It was too difficult. This house was not going to be available for us forever, and the Indians were not going to sponsor us because they already had a Hindu temple way up on what was that street? Way outside, up past the ocean, and so I think this is the chronology. I think that we all decided to leave and go back to Lagos. So now the man whose house that belonged to, I don't know what happened to the house with that man after we left, and I have no idea.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Jyoti Prabhu is late now. I think he left his body about 2 years ago in Liberia. But then I remember he was saying that, yeah, you came back, both of you came back, and then he returned to Sierra Leone. But then he was not allowed in the building because even though I think it was paid for to cover a year or so, by the time he came back, the rent was still running, but then the guy refused to let him in. So I think that was why the matter went to court. But anyway, finally, Mr. Brown of SR Trading helped them to get another place at Brookfields, and I took over from him later on.
What was
Thank you very much.
What was the trading company's name?
SR Trading. The guy is called Mr. Brown, the Indian guy. SR Trading. That was the Indian guy that helping when he was there.
Interesting. I don't recall Mr. Brown. Usually the Indians
Brown,
we dealt with were Cindy's traders. Okay. Okay, might have been someone who Upananda had met and gotten an agreement to use the house, but we were under the impression that it was his house, and that he was letting us use it for no charge. So that's what we were, the impression that we were under.
Right. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Shivasvanachari, Prabhu, please you may unmute.
Hare Krishna, Makantaskara Prabhu.
Hare Krishna,
nice to see you again after many, many years.
This is
Srivas. We're in Lagos together.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, nice I was in the Govinda shop. And at some point, in fact, we appreciated your association because you used to give us a lot of classes, morning and evening. And then before you went to Sierra Leone, there was the idea of starting the preaching in Côte d'Ivoire, in Abidjan.
Ah, yes, that was a good experience.
Yes, and so they wanted a French-speaking devotee to go with you to Abidjan. And there was none. I was the only one who could speak some little French. So Brahmananda, yes, go ahead, Prabhu.
I at that time I could speak a little French.
Okay. So they wanted a companion to go with you to Abidjan. So Brahmananda Maharaj requested me to go with you, but my French wasn't so much. So somehow it didn't happen. You couldn't get somebody to go with you to Abidjan, and that's how the program changed, and you went to Sierra Leone.
I see, but now somehow or other, Upananda and I ended up somehow in Abidjan.
Okay.
And some of the Ghanaian devotees, we had met there. One of them was Shanta Maharaj. Were you there?
I think Jiva.
Jiva was there.
Yeah.
What's the tall Ghanaian?
Yes, Jiva.
No, the taller one with the glasses, who was difficult to deal with sometimes. What was his name? Lakshmipati.
Lakshmipati.
Lakshmipati. If you remember what I mean, look at difficult to deal with. You know, he was a character, a real, loving, really good guy, really nice devotee, but difficult. He wouldn't say no. He had to have his way. It was very difficult to divert him from his opinion, his idea. So anyway, he was there. Somehow or other, we were all in Abidjan. They had a house. They'd rented a house somewhere. We went over there to see them. And then Upananda and I were going to go back to Lagos. And for some crazy reason, we didn't take plane. We took a riverboat. Yeah, anyone wants to comment there? We took a riverboat from Abidjan to Half Asini, Ghana.
That's right. Remember?
Anyone know where Half Asini is?
Yes.
Yeah.
I traveled by that boat before, Abidjan.
Good.
All night.
Does it take 14 hours?
Yes, all night you travel.
Okay, I don't know or why we agreed to that crazy thing. But Upananda and I got on this riverboat. Well, with on the roof where there was tons of whatever
Loads.
goods,
Yeah.
loads. And I remember Lakshmipati having a very concerned look on his face. You didn't know about this. It's a good idea. I don't know why. Anyway, we sat on wooden boards as seats, Upananda and I, for 14 hours all night long, until about 4 a.m. morning. We got to the border, the river between Ivory Coast and Ghana, and took a boat across the water to Hafasini. There's nothing in Hafasini. Hafasini is like a ghost town. It's a nothing and no place. Anyway, we had to spend a few hours there waiting for a bus to take us to, I don't think we're going to Takoradi, and then from Takoradi, then to Accra. So anyway, we found a little shack that had a room for rent, and we rested there for a few hours. We went to Takoradi, greeted the devotees, and on to Accra. So that was a trip. That was quite a trip. I don't know why we did that.
Well, thank you so much, Prabhuji, for your sacrifice. I want to remind you with this, we still have 2 speakers. So, Ishara Prabhu, please you may unmute, and then we'll go to Mukunda Prabhu. After that, we will switch to the next speaker. Ishara Prabhu, please.
Okay, I'll just make it very brief because Prabhuji, it's very nice to see you. I think the last time we were together was in Washington, D.C. So last time we were together.
Were you with Bhakti Tirtha in the Adelphi?
Yeah. No, yeah, it was Adelphi, Adelphi in Maryland. So you had come, you came that time, and you were staying with us for some time.
We were doing some work.
Yeah, you are doing some work. At that time, I was in collection for the West African Yatra, and I could remember the day you arrived in Lagos. It was around the late '82. I think it was around October, November, something like that. When you came in came in the morning, so we welcome you with the kirtan. We had a big kirtan. Huh? Yeah.
A thunderous kirtan.
Yeah, so we had a big kirtan with you, and I think the Shiva Prabhu was also there. I could remember that day. And then we went together to Enugu. Okay, and we went together to Enugu. There was we had a big program in the King Palace.
I got very sick.
Yeah, so you were playing.
Remember that?
You were playing the harmonium, and I was playing the midanga. So it was a very, very nice program.
It was exceptional. You know, that program was at a king's palace.
It was a king's palace. Yeah. King's
located
palace.
Somewhere inside the bush.
It was something like that.
Only dirt roads. And the palace was more or less a deserted place with deserted rooms. There was no decoration, there were no chairs, there was nothing, but his palace was like something out of desolation. You know, it was funny, but we had an ecstatic kirtan.
Yeah, it was a nice kirtan. All the village people were coming, they all dancing, and so many chiefs were there. Everybody was dancing. And then the time to give us some pressure, we said, no, I'm not going to eat this one. I mean, you were saying, no, let's honor something. I said, no, I'm not going to honor nothing here.
I was so fortunate to be there at that time.
Yeah, it was
to have your association too.
Hare Krishna. Shri Mukunda Prabhu, please give me unmute. Shriman Mukunda Prabhu.
See? Okay, I did it. Yeah, I'll be extremely brief. First, I remember traveling a lot of times from Lagos with Brother Lila for preaching. And I think two places, I think she'll acknowledge also were really sort of a big reprieve from preaching in Lagos. And that one was Port Harcourt and the other was Calabar. They were two places which were kind of much more peaceful and everything. So I mean, we used to enjoy it. And then just one last thing was that Jyoti Prabhu and many other devotees, me and Rajalil had gone to Liberia and stayed with Mr. Okpan when he was staying in that Nigerian Airways house. And the city was even then kind of dangerous. And we reported that back to Brahmananda when we came back. And then later on, of course, Ladini and Jyoti and other devotees had gone there. So we want to, give them so much respect because they gave their lives trying to preach in that place. So we also want to acknowledge them and of course pray that they moved on in bhakti and got the blessings of Mahaprabhu, Srila Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada for that endeavor. I spoke to Ladini directly on the phone at the request of Srila Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj to ask her to leave. And she felt very strongly about staying to preach there. And of course, those devotees ended up giving up their life to be there. Jyoti escaped, but many devotees lost their lives there. So I just wanted to remind devotees of that and always keep them in your memory.
Very nice. Thank you for trying to help Ladini. Liberia was always a very rough place. People there were are by nature very rough, and I remember thinking that it's not hard to understand how a civil war, how they could have had a civil war in Sierra Leone and Monrovia. Thinking about the way the characteristics of the people. So, as a matter of fact, Mukunda Maharaj, if you remember going to Monrovia, perhaps before the Civil War, if you landed at the airport, then you would have your bag forcibly grabbed out of your arms and thrown into the boot of some taxi or down the line. And then when you got to that taxi, another driver would snatch the bag out of the boot and throw it into his taxi. And it was a very rough place.
Well, thank you so much, Prabhuji, for this amazing sacrifice. And through all these sacrifices, some of us who came in later are here benefiting from your struggles. So we're going to try to stay in touch. Who knows, we may have to repeat this dose at some point in the near future because there is so much untouched. We cannot exhaust them all in this particular 1 week Sangha. So with that being said, Prabhuji, Sri Makanataskara Prabhu, with thank you much and our humblest obeisances unto you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Glory to the Thank you so much. So, dear devotees, from here on, we move on to His Holiness Shripad Shanta Bhaktivedanta Maharaj. I was mentioning this some time ago, a few days ago, that we'll try to interchange names from time to time because probably Makanataskara Prabhu here remembers Ekendra much more than Mukunda Prabhu. So if he didn't know that Mukunda Prabhu here is the same Ekendra Prabhu, he might mistake him for someone else. So His Holiness Shripad Shanta Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, I have a few, a little bio on His Holiness to share with you. Shripad
It may be necessary for me to cut out at some point.
Sure.
Because it's very late here.
Yes.
stay around.
We understand.
disappear
We
and
understand you're speaking from Thailand, which is very late your time. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So Sripad Bhaktivedanta Shanta Maharaj used to be called MAHA-MANTRA. Of course, he is from Ghana. He's Ghanaian. And when I joined the devotional service, I heard so much about him. MAHA-MANTRA, MAHA-MANTRA, MAHA-MANTRA. Now he's in the US. And I was thinking and hoping, when am I ever going to see him? Because I wasn't ever thinking of going to the US. But somehow we came to the US. And when we came to the US, we met him and his beautiful family. And amongst all the Ghanaian devotees who came to the US, I must say that I'm the one who benefited the most from His Holiness. Because His Holiness, of course, because we are all Ghanaians, we were new here. We didn't know how to have access to the local Ghanaian foods in the US. So Maharaj will personally travel to Washington, D.C., and when he returns to GITA-GOVINDA, he will bring us lots of Ghanaian food. I won't mention all the names because most of you may not know, but he will get us lots of the local food, and we'll feel like we're still in Ghana. So he really helped us feel at home here in GITA-GOVINDA. But he used to be called MAHA-MANTRA. And then from the bio, Maharaj met Brahmananda Maharaj in Lagos in 1979, very early. And then he served with the Iskcon mission in West Africa until 1985. He was distributing books, opening temples, and preaching the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Next, he continued to serve in Southern Africa until 1988. So we hear of Srila Krishnapad, His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, preaching to Kenneth Kawunda, like Mukunda Prabhu beautifully shared yesterday. Maharaj used to be there also. And then from Africa, he came to the US, and after a short time, went to Belize. I didn't know until I started reading this bio that Maharaj went to Belize, which is the Caribbean, to open a temple there. Then he returned to the US and started preaching with Sripad Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj and Sriman Mukunda Prabhu. So after a while, he met Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj in the suburbs of Washington, D.C. in 1997, and they took initiation shortly afterwards. In 2009, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj awarded him Evana Prashta. So we were all with him when he was Grihasta and then when he was Vanaprashta. So sadly, we're all learning from him how to traverse from one ashram to another. We'll see how that goes. But that is what he did from a Brahmacharya to Grihasta to Vanaprastha to Sannyas. So he was awarded the Order of Sannyas by the mercy of Srila Bhakti Vijan Bharati Goswami Maharaj, and currently he spends most of his time traveling in the US and travels to preach in Africa when the opportunity arises. And I must say, Maharaj, it is our greatest fortune and appreciation to have your association here to share with us how Hare Krishna movement started in West Africa. So Maharaj, the floor is open to you now. You may unmute and you may begin to speak. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Om Agyanam Timrindasya Gyananjaya Salakaya Shakshu Militam Yena Tasmashi Guruve Namaha Vanchakapa Taribhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavanaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Guru Chese Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopeka Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shivasari Gaur Bhattavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, I first of all offer my respectful obeisances to all the devotees, senior ones, and then the junior ones, and those that I have never met, and who are all interested in knowing about the preaching in West Africa as directed under the direction of Bhakti Shripa Bhakti Teta Maharaj, and at that time, Brahmananda Maharaj, later on Brahmananda Prabhu. I am extremely very grateful to have associated with such personalities. Brahmanda Brahmeti Kunava Bhagayava Jiva, Guru Krishna Prasada Pai, Bhakti Lata Beach. It is very fortunate. It is only fortunate souls who, when traversing this universe, when traversing this bodily, prison, are so fortunate to meet somebody who is a sadhu and not just a common sadhu. There are many levels of sadhus, but the real sadhu, one who is worshipper of Radha Krishna, that is the real sadhu. And anyone who has the fortune to meet Srila Prabhupada, who was very, kind enough to bring this movement to the West, is very fortunate. And how fortunate also that the followers of Srila Prabhupada have been able to give us the mercy. So Krishna is saying, he who thinks is my devotee is not my devotee, but the one who is the devotee of my devotee is my devotee. So in essence, when I was in school, I went to St. John's in secondary. My background is Catholic, and I have been very religious, altar boy, and even everybody thought I was going to be a priest. So I went to secondary school with that intention also. St. John's was Holy Cross Brothers from the United States. So, this school is in secondary. But in the course of me being there, I was disillusioned. I wanted more. I was asking questions. But it seems the priest there couldn't answer my questions. So they termed me to be very nuisance. They told me I was asking too many questions. And I have to say this. This is a personal experience, but I want to share it. In 1968, when I was in school, I started having what the Catholics call stigmata, where I will be having all my hands, pains, my side, and when I'm having this, I will go into like a coma or something like that. I didn't know what was happening. And somebody appears to me and said, "You are my disciple. You will never see me in this lifetime. But my disciples are," he mentions the name of the country. "Go to that country, you see my disciples, and you preach." It happened to me 4 times, and after that, it vanished. That was about 1968, 1969. And after that, I forgot about it. But I was actually sort of left Catholic and became a born-again Christian. And in my house, my bed, that was where every morning about 20 students will gather, and then we'll pray to Christ. And I was praying, "Please give me the opportunity to know you," because what was happening was not. And I forgot about this, finished my 6th form. Very interesting thing when I was in the 6th form. I, who was very bookworm, I started losing interest. I said, "What is this? There should be more than this in this material world." And I was so much attached to my dad also. Just after I left school, 6th form, there was so much, topsy and turvy. And at that time, Ghana, there was only 3 universities. And I overstayed it. I overstayed it. That when I went to the exam room, I just felt asleep. Yes, but it was Krishna who was doing all this. And he took me out. So instead of passing all my subjects, I didn't do one. So I had to do it again, and I felt I wasn't going to do it. Just at that year, the next year, which was 77, April 77, my father left the body unannounced. I was with him the previous day, and I went to Accra. Somebody ran to Accra to tell me, "If you don't come now, you will not see your father alive." I was thinking it's a joke. I was with this man last night. But lo and behold, when I went, my father was no more. After the funeral services, I had a cousin friend who told me, "Hey, we should go to Nigeria." At that time, the 2 of us have applied to university in America. I think it's Northwestern. We applied to many, but some accepted us. So my aim to go to Nigeria was just to make money, get my flight, and come to America. But unfortunately, when I went there, I would not get any job. I didn't like Lagos. I mean, Lagos was just too much for me. So I went to Ondo, Edo-Ekiti, and Ibadan. But finally, for some reason, I landed back in Lagos, where I found a job. Now, the 2 jobs I did, the next job was a lady by name Mrs. Mary Olumide. She was a big socialite, very nice, nice woman, having a medium printing press. In fact, I will say this is material, but I was the manager in that printing press where we printed all the layout for Abuja City. I actually supervised the printing of Abuja City as you have it there now. And I knew almost most of the senators because it was our place that they will come, then we will write them, you know, how do you call it, print their whatever they want to do. And most of them wanted to start corporation businesses. You know, Kweme, he was the vice president to Shagari. I met Shagari personally, Bola Ige, and all those personalities. So I was working for Mrs. Mary Olumide when she loved me so much as a brother. But then I had a house in Babsanima Shahun Sulurere, but this place was new. And I was having many friends. People were coming. There were people who were living with me from Benin, you know, Ghana. They were in the place. And this guy from Benin, his name is Hunpati. One day he came to me and he was very, you know, excited. He said, you know, I met some people in town and they were shaving-headed and they were distributing books. I wasn't able to talk to them. But because you are very, you know, interested in knowing about this, I want you to take me when you go so that we can meet them. We went to town, we looked for, this was 78. We looked for these people and we couldn't get them. Then, interesting thing, one day, I was coming out of my house. It was like a T junction. And the house was just on the T. And here I saw one guy with shaved head and loading small car, Dahishu. So I was, you know, I went to him. That was early in the morning. I was going to work. I said, who are you guys? Instead of telling me who they are, he said, can you help me to load this car with the books? And I was in, you know, dressed in coat and everything. And I said, I don't mind. So I went and helped him. And he said, my name is VIP. I said, VIP, who are you guys? He said, we are the Hare Krishnas. Where are you? I said, I stay here. He said, if you come in the evening, this is our house, you come there. And lo and behold, I went to work in the evening. I came and I was so shy, I didn't want to. And I will tell you what I did. I passed with my friends and had one bottle of beer. I had one bottle of beer. I said, I don't know what I'm going to deal with these guys. I have to ask so many questions. So when I went, the person I met was not VIP. VIP, he liked to practice on his mridanga. So when I went, he directed me to Aniha Prabhu. And Aniha Prabhu was preparing prashadam. And interesting enough, the prashadam he gave me was bent chapati. I don't know whether he knew how to do chapati then, but I enjoyed the chapati. And You know what he did? There was at that time a small, it was like our modern day computers we are using, but it's a flip, like a cine. You can watch movies on it. It's a small one. And he opened it and he showed me who are they? Is it who are they or who are we? I forgot the name of that.
Who are they?
Who are they? Okay, he showed me this movie, and I was so surprised. And it was a scientific movie. And me being having science background, I could appreciate it so much. And the next movie he showed me, Vrindavan, the land of Krishna. Vrindavan, the land of Krishna. And the moment he showed me Vrindavan, the land of Krishna, by the end of it, I was crying. I said, this is it for me. So he did not preach to me, oh, come. Because of Vrindavan, the land of Krishna, after watching that, I felt I was at peace. And he gave me a book, Science of Self-Realization. And at that time, Science of Self-Realization, the back of it was Srila Prabhupada with the black chadar. Now, I was telling you folks at the beginning, I was telling you devotees at the beginning, at 68, I was having dreams, and somebody will appear to me. And that person who appeared will have that black chadar. And it was Prabhupada. And when I saw that, it broke my, I said, wow, I forgot about that. And everything came back to me. And I went back home, started reading. And I was reading the Bhagavad Gita, you know, but during that time, the Bhagavad Gita was printed by Macmillan. So they didn't have they took out a lot of things. It was only short form. So when I was reading, I said, no, something is wrong. No, this one should have more purport. And lo and behold, and it was very true. So next day, I went to work and I put in an application to my lady. I said, I want to stop work. And she was so mad because this woman, she will leave, go to Europe, go to everywhere. And she comes back home, there's money waiting for her, you know. Or she will take me to visit people like Bola Ige. He was the governor of Oyo State. Is it Oyo? Yeah, at that time. You know, so she was so mad.
Western State.
Eh?
Western State.
It was Western State then, eh? Okay. Yeah. She told me, took me to see Bola Ige to convince me to stay. I said, no, I wasn't staying. So I came, started working with Brahmananda and the devotees. But Brahmananda and VIP, they left earlier. And I think they left Aniha there. So I was with Aniha for a few days of time. Then Brahmananda came back, maybe after a month or two. Aniha left. So I was left with myself and Brahmananda. I had my house. I would go sleep in my house in the morning. We will go to town. And what I was given was to go and distribute books to the, how do you call it? Okay, thank you. It was Oyo State then, yes. I will go and distribute books to the different bookstores And I would just give them the books. And I said, after you distribute and you sell them, I'll come and collect the money. That was what I was doing. And I walk throughout Lagos. And after that, I'll go to the post office, or no, the church. There was a big church. I forgot, is it Anglican church? I'll go there and I'll start preaching. And because I was preaching so loudly, I lost all my voice. So if you see me holding my microphone, because of that, Brahmananda went and bought my microphone from me. That's what I've been using. Now, during that time, he told me, hey, we are having a lock. Somebody is coming. A Senyas is coming. He said he just took Senyas. And he said his name before was Ganasham Prabhu. He took Senyas, so he is going to come. So I was eager. That time we got the driver, Tahiru. Tahiru became our driver. So he came to Ghana, to Nigeria. So fortunate, and how fortunate I was that I had all these questions I've written. In fact, it was like a notebook. And every day, the two of us, when we are not busy doing anything, I will sit in front of him, be asking this question, and then he has to answer me. During that time, there were only few people who were coming. Shruti Prabhu and the wife. Now, me and Brahmananda and myself, every evening, we will go to the Indian houses. And with that machine, I said, it looked like a computer, but you can slot in your tape and it plays. We go to these Indian houses and then he will start playing that from maybe 9, 12 o'clock, we will still be there. Until the people agreed to become members, we were making life members and supporters. Then he will say, okay. So we were very much doing this. And the people who were actually coming at that time, one, Mr. Akpan. Mr. Akpan was living in Festac village. And sometimes we will go to him. Then Chandrasekhar, he comes there. I didn't know where he was living. He would come there on his motorbike. And he said he was a martial arts teacher. So he will come and visit. But I remember very well, what the name again? That I just mentioned. He will come there. Huh?
Chandrasekhar?
Not Chandrasekhar. Not Mr. Akpan. Shruti. I'm sorry. My mind just went. Shruti, he bought a new car. And on that car, he painted Hare Krishna on it and had a big tilak in front of the car. Yeah, Shruti was a fanatic then with us, and I heard he's still alive. I want to meet with such personalities.
Huh?
Shruti
I'm going for more water.
He's alive. He lives in Lagos.
Yes. So, but Srila Bhattacharya Maharaj came. We preached, and myself, he was very good at preaching in the universities. So we would go to the universities where he would, go leave books. We even traveled to Ibadan, to Ile-Ife, and all those places. Then when we came back, he said, let's go to Ghana. So 79, that was the time the coup took place in Ghana. So 79, we drove all the way to Ghana. and we were preaching. And where did we stay in Ghana? We stayed in the Hindu Society of Africa. What is SWAMI Ganananda? Swami Ganananda gave us a place. He gave us one room, and we were all staying in that room. But later on, he drove us out, not because of anything Srila Bhattacharya Maharaj did, but it's because of my zealousness. It was me. And what did I do? Because in the temple, they had Shiva, Parvati, and Shiva. They have Radha Krishna, and then they have Sita Ram. So they put Parvati and Shiva in the center, and Radha Krishna on the left, and Sita Ram on the right. So when I went and I saw this, I was offended. So I started preaching. I said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not Shiva. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is Radha Krishna. At that time, Swami Ganananda was not, he had traveled, but for some reason he heard it, and he came back at once, and he said, you guys can't live in the temple here again. And Bhattacharya Maharaj said, hey, did I say anything? Did you hear anybody that I said anything? And I raised up and I said, I said it. But that is the fact, that Radha Krishna is the supreme. So he said, then you guys can't live here anymore. So we went, where we went to stay, I forgot. But during that time, we had people in Ghana, which Bhattacharya Maharaj, by his connection, knew already. Also, Brahmananda knew these persons. One of them is Guy Fitz. If anybody, I know Guy Fitz. Yeah, you know Guy Fitz. Guy Fitz was there. So we went to Guy Fitz. He was having a studio in Accra. So we went to Guy Fitz. And there was a lady who was a very popular musician also during that time. She was at the University of Ghana, and then she will come. So we had a network. So they told us we have to register our movement. So they gave us the place to go. So at that time, if you many of you were with Srila Bhattacharya Maharaj in the beginning will notice he was always using a silver briefcase, iron one, and nothing in it, packed full with books, nothing but books. So we will go distributing books. So when we were going to this place, the office of the registrar, I was carrying the briefcase, and Srila Bhattacharya Maharaj, we went and he said, we want to see the registrar. The secretary, you see, he was blinded by God's, mood. Instead of asking the registrar, he just told us to enter. So the moment we entered and we went to see the registrar, he stopped us right away. He said, who are you guys? You are wearing bed sheet. Look at you, you're wearing bed sheet. And you've come to my office unannounced? Get out. And what happened I don't know what became of me. I dropped the briefcase, opened it, and took easy journey to other planets and handed it to them. It was handing it to the man. And the man froze as if he had seen a ghost. Serious. He froze. And for some time, he was like that. And he said, are you the ones who are distributing these books? Bhattacharya Maharaj said, yes. And he said, do you know why I'm driving you out? Because that is the very book I'm reading. And it's in my drawer. And I've got to a place I don't want to have any distraction. So I wanted you guys to leave. Come and sit down. We went and sat with him. That day he made the secretary leave. We went to about 2 o'clock. We were there till about 6 o'clock. And we were just discussing, and he was talking, he said, I got this book from the shop near the post office. At that time, there was a shop, a man behind with a bookshop at the post office in Accra. Yes, that's where, if you remember, yes, that's where we were. He went and bought the book. He was so surprised. He said, I will get everything down for you. So we went, and I think we arranged for the people who were going to be the directors and so forth. I think Guy Fitz was one. I forgot the rest because they wanted, so I didn't sign. So they signed, we went. And for that year, which was 1980 or so, we were the only religious organization that was registered in Ghana. And you can go and check it, it's on record. At that time, Rollins was so pissed off with all these small churches that was mushrooming everywhere. He didn't want anything. So we stayed in Ghana for about two months. Then we went back to Nigeria. And in Nigeria, Srila Bhattacharya Maharaj left, and he promised, he said, I'm going to send somebody so that he can help you. You can be with him. Yeah. Yeah, it was 1979. But no, the registration, we were registered in 1980. We put in the application in 1979, and we were registered in 1980. So during that time, Brahmananda and myself were there, and then he told me, I don't know, early that somebody was coming. And Mukunda Prabhu just happened to come in. I think I was not there when he came. When he came and the taxi driver and so forth, I was not there. We had gone out. And so when we came, I wanted to cook something for him. I had then become a vegetarian a year or 2 years before meeting devotees. So I was a vegetarian, but one thing that I didn't forgo, I didn't know, I was eating a lot of onion. So when Bhattacharya Maharaj came, and that one I forgot, he visited me in my place. So he came around 10 o'clock in the morning, and then I was cooking. I cooked a lot of onions and all the food, and I put it before him. He looked at the food. This is how humble he was, serious. He didn't say, oh, I can't eat. He ate everything. Then he said, Bhakta Martin, that was my name. Bhakta Martin, do you know we don't eat onions? Oh my God. I was devastated. I was devastated. I said, really? But, we have what we call Siksha Guru. We have Diksha Guru. We have Vatana Prana. What is the name again? Who can? No, not Diksha Guru. Vata Pranama.
Production Guru.
Yes.
Production Guru.
Vatma Pradasha Guru. That, so we can see that all these personalities are in our lives. They are helping us. All gurus should be honored. Even the person who gave you the book for you to become a devotee should be honored. So Mukunda came, and when Mukunda came, in fact, that was the beginning of my real spiritual life. I was moving with Mukunda. We were traveling, going together. And then he was driving this Dahichu. Turn it off. We were driving, he was driving this Dahichu. He didn't know how to drive stick shift. And every time we go to town, my heart was in my mouth. Yes. And you know Lagos at that time. Accidents left and right. People were just driving roughly. And we will come over the bridge and we will stall as we are going down the bridge in Apapa. Oh my God. And you know that there are so many cars who are speeding by. For some reason, Krishna saved us. Krishna saved us. And we were, we did a lot of preaching. Then Bhuta Bhavana came. Bhuta Bhavana came just at the tail end. And I remember one story with Bhuta Bhavana. He was driving the car and we went to Lagos to buy foodstuffs. And then when the police, where he parked the car, the police stopped us and towed the car. And they demanded the money from Bhuta Bhavana. You know what he did? All the money that we were going to use to buy vegetables or boga, he gave everything to the police. And I was mad. So when we came back, Brahmananda was so mad. He said, how dare you, Bhuta Bhavana? Why did you do this? This is the money we have to. Where do we get money for boga? Anyway, the preaching in Lagos was, wonderful. Preaching in Lagos was wonderful. In fact, sometimes we will go out preaching and we will get about 100 to 200 people surrounding us. And we have to, finish those books. Even the last books that will be there, people will be fighting for it. So one time I told Mukunda, you have to leave those books there so that we have to go. The moment we left, they were fighting, trying to get the books. And I was thinking that Nigeria and Ghana would have been the first Krishna conscious nations in Africa or in the world, because there were so many people who were interested in these books. When Srila Bhattacharya Maharaj came back and met us, he told me, I want you to go to Ghana. I want you to go to Ghana. And I told him, I said, I don't know anything. I can't preach very well. And you want me to go and open a temple? He said, that is it. That's the qualification. If you think you can't do it, you can do it. So he sent me, and first, was it Tahiru? Or that we had Adams then, I forgot. Then I went and I was preaching, it was Adams. I was with Adams, and I'll go to Electricity Corporation. That place was not crowded at that time. And from there, I was preaching. There we made our first devotee. His name was Gyanadas. And when Gyanadas was coming and listening, his father was not happy at all. So the father went and reported me to Gyanada's uncle, who was a police commissioner. He was in charge of the central Accra police station. So I was preaching when the police came, and then they said, you have to come with us. They walked me all the way to this police station. And over there, Gyanada's, I saw this man, and he sat me down. He said, why are you trying to brainwash my son? I said, your son is not brainwashed. Not knowing this man was a member of the Rosicrucians. So he was eager to know what we were doing. So for about 2 hours, he sat me down and we preached. I preached to him, and he told his father was sitting there. He said, Gyanadas is okay. Gyanadas is okay. So Gyanadas actually joined before we went to get the house in Alajo. But when we got the house in Alajo, how did we get this house? I was called from Nigeria that, hello? Am I being monotonous? Everybody? So,
we are with you. We are with you. We are hearing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was called from Nigeria that Ekendra Prabhu, Mukunda Prabhu, and Vrajalila, they will be coming to Ghana to help. At that time, they were traveling. I think they were in the north when I left Lagos. So I decided I had some money with me, which I was going to give to my mother so that she leaves me alone to do devotional service. It was 19,000 or 20,000 cedis at that time. And I used that money and I went to Alajo, and somebody told me about that building. I went to Alajo, we got our first house. Then Brajalila and Mukunda came. Lakshmi Party Prabhu brought them. And then the next day or two, we went to see the place. That time, one of my schoolmates, my classmate, a lady, she was coming already. She wanted to join, but we didn't have a place for her. Her name was Elizabeth. She joined us over there. So after that, Ekachakra was the second person who joined us. So Elizabeth, Gyanadas, Ekachakra. Then when we went to Alajo, Jiva came in. So we were 3. And apart from that, in Lagos, one of the Ghanaian devotees who went there to join, his name was Gopal. So Brahmananda Prabhu sent Gopal. Actually, it was Srila Bhattiteta Maharaj. I was not there, but he was sent to Ghana to join us. So from there, we found out that we were becoming too many for that place. So one time we were traveling, just driving around in Odoko, when we saw that building near the market, that small market. Finally, we have to get that market. I went back to Nigeria to collect. And we begged that man in Alajo that we have to take the money back. He should take the 2-month rent that we were there with him. He refused, but finally he gave us the rest of the money. We added whatever we got from Nigeria, added it to it. Then we got that Odoko temple. From Odoko, things started blossoming very much. And with the help of Mukunda Prabhu, who was preaching vigorously, we had so many people coming in. Sorry, I may forget some of you, but Ahimsa, Shankara, Mother Gemini, I brought her. Actually, I went to Nigeria and brought Mother Gemini to Ghana. Please, you can help me. There were so many people. Oh, what is his name?
Was Eckhart Prabhu also around there? Around that?
Maybe Eckhart. No.
Ramanuja.
Ramanuja. Ramanuja's father would not allow me to take his son. Finally, he said, if you take him, he's yours. We are not going to deal with him anymore. Ramanuja, he said, then it was there, Prabhu Srivas was giving this, his side of the story, but I vividly know where we first saw them. It was not in where he said. We were in Asylum Down. This place was very near the Ambassador Hotel. That was where there was a meeting or something. Then, as he said, Mukunda raised up the hand, and and it was not anybody, it was me and Mukunda. Mukunda raised up the hand and talked. And when we came out, you guys were so eager. The two of you, Sukadev actually ran to us, and then you came later. Sukadev was asking questions and we were answering. And from there, the rest is history. So there's more. Srila Bhattiteta Maharaj, when he came to Ghana, he was like, and one thing we should not forget, the way he explains things, he was so good at it. Yes, I mentioned Gyana Das.
Yeah.
I mentioned Gyana Das. He was the first person. He was the one, his father reported me to the uncle, the commissioner. So he was so much eager. He was preaching. So when we will go to some radio stations and preach. In fact, there were many people who wanted.
Did you mention Shankara, Upendra?
I mentioned Shankara.
Shankara, Upendra.
No, Upendra joined in Nigeria.
Oh, Upendra joined in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Upendra was in Nigeria. I forgot to mention the Nigerian devotees. But when we were in Nigeria, the devotees, Taufik, anybody remember Taufik?
Taufik.
He is in that picture. He was kneeling down. Taufik, Emmanuel.
Emmanuel, yes.
You remember Emmanuel? Johnson.
Yeah.
Johnson was, but because Johnson wanted to be the chief, the big man, the Oga Patapata, finally he has to leave. What? Mother Parameshwari. Yes, Srinath's wife. She's here. She's listening. Srinath was there. At that time, Upananda, who is Avadut Maharaj, had not come. Just after that picture, Upananda came. So, Shripad Upananda Prabhu, he was actually very instrumental. He helped me a lot. When I was in Ghana, I was asked to come back to Nigeria. But when I came back to Nigeria, we had not got, there was nothing in in Port Harcourt. So I took some devotees myself. I took devotees, girls and boys. We went there and we didn't have anywhere in Port Harcourt to sleep. We were sleeping in the gas station and they arrested us. And when they took us to the police station, they asked us, what were we doing? We said we were preaching. They said, you guys can't leave the car. So and it was so hot. All of us were stationed, and I was put in jail. The others were sleeping in the car. Me, they stripped me except my pants, and I was in jail for 2 days before they released us. You know, so yes, there were devotees. You know, Butta Bhavan was with us. Shastra at that time, later, what's his name? Chitraketu.
Yeah.
Chitraketu was young, he was coming. Omkara, he was one of the first who came actually. Omkara, later on, Ajay Krishna. Ishwara Prabhu is with us here. You know, he was there also. Who else? And let me say something about Ishwara. He liked to play the mridanga, or he wants to play the karatas. And him and what is his name? Srinath Prabhu. Srinath will go and take everything away from him. No, bring it. You don't know. You have to learn first to play. I remember those days, and it was very nice, you know. And I was the cook, actually. I was the cook, the first cook. And if you go into the magazine, you will see I have put there a lot of recipes with cooking African food.
Yeah. We saw that.
You've seen that?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. You see a lot of recipes I put there. And then when Butta Bhavan took over, actually it was myself and Butta Bhavan who were cooking. But later on, when I was going to be sent to Ghana, what is his name? He came and then he became
Dr. Paul, which became Pancha.
He took over.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of things to say.
Yeah. Thank you.
I have to say one more thing.
Okay.
We went to Takrady when myself and Srila Bhattacharya Maharaj were there. We went to Takrady to Takwa. Mm-hmm. At that time, what is his name?
Baladev.
Baladev was working as an officer in
Bansa Tires.
Yeah, Bansa Tires. So we went to visit him. You know, then I was surprised. I thought he was never going to leave, but he gave up all this and became a devotee. All glories to all you devotees who have helped Srila Bhattacharya Maharaj and the Acharyas to actually bring this about. So with this, if anybody will ask questions, please, we have so many things I'm forgetting.
Yeah.
When I came, let me finish this. When I came to Nigeria, I was sent to Port Harcourt. But before going to Port Harcourt, when I went, the Indians didn't know any of us. So Maharaj, Ramananda Maharaj sent Upananda, Avadut Maharaj, and Makanataskara. So they went there to, you know, the Indians will love to, honor the white. So they went there, then they were able to give, them a place. In fact, when I went, the place had not been made into a temple. It was me who went and took the devotees there. We started, and Upananda left
after 6.
and Makana Taskara stayed. He was the one who was actually doing the collections. You know, he was collecting donations. Echo Dave was my assistant. Echo Dave and Jyoti, they were there. Echo Dave, Jyoti, and some others. Oh, sorry, I'm forgetting one great personality. Madri Devi. You know Madri?
I know Madri.
Oh, Madri was with me in Accra. And in fact, he preached to GITA-GOVINda. It was Madri who preached to GITA-GOVINda and told me I should go and make GITA-GOVINda a devotee. It was Madri Dev. And it was Madri Dev who brought in Vasudev Maharaj. It was Madri Dev who went to town and preached to Vasudev Maharaj, and then he gave it to me. Every time he does that, he will say, "This is now for you." And Madri Dev was coming from town one evening. The police and the soldiers came to arrest us. They put us in jail for 1 good month. We were in jail. People didn't know where we were. Madri Dev was the one who ran because he was coming and he saw them, and then he went back and came to report to Brahmananda that we were in jail. Will you believe it? For 1 month, I didn't eat, go to the bathroom, urinate, or do anything for 1 good month. We were in jail. That was when the first coup, I think coup against Buhari, took place. And we were actually, where our temple is, was in the barracks. So they thought we were what?
CIAs.
CIA, or yeah, something like that. So they packed us all and just dumped us at the police. And for 1 good month, we were there. I didn't, the only thing that we were able to eat was bread until the Indians came. And after that, I was sick for almost 2 months. I nearly died.
Maharaj, if you could just do the second coup of Rawlings when we were in the palace, that last thing you could tell.
Okay. So when Mukunda, Prabhu, and everything, everybody came, and Ghana was like booming. In fact, the preaching there started booming. So one morning, early in the morning, we were doing arti, morning arti, Mongol arti, when suddenly there was a very big noise, like a gunshot. And where Mother Brajalila was, the big picture of Nishringadev fell, and it's fortunate it didn't fall. It fell on your head, eh? Mother Brajalila.
Actually, no. It just fell.
It just fell down. So what happened? Then another picture fell. So that day we were very careful. We went to town. Mukunda was saying that was not the day, it was the next day. But the next day we went to visit
MAHA-MANTRA, it was the same day because
thank you.
Sankirtan.
It was the same day.
The trucks were passing as I was sitting there doing books, and I didn't know what was going on.
No, first we went to see you. You were also among. We went to the castle.
I was among everything you talked about, just for the benefit of the ladies.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. You were there. I talked about you. I'm sorry.
Just because the ladies are wondering, like, what is this? Where's the ladies involved in all
this?
You were there with everything. That day that the picture fell, we went to the U.S. Embassy. He was going to give us a briefing on U.S. policy in relation to Ghana before we made the courtesy call for Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj to see Liman. And
So
then
we went to the castle.
Next day, yes.
Yes. We went to the castle, and we were in the castle just waiting to see Liman, President Liman. When the soldiers came, one guy said, "What are you guys doing here? What are you guys doing here? Get out, get out." So we got up, and myself, and we walked out. And then just as we were going, we started hearing gunshots. That was the second coup. So that very day of the second coup, we were waiting to see Liman. So, but I have to apologize. Please, I'm apologizing. Mother Rajalila.
No, no
I've
worries.
never
No
forgotten you.
No worries. I will always say whenever, whatever, but I was there with that coup because I
You
remember.
you were there in all of it. You were there.
So,
Germany was there.
Travoli was there.
Huh?
Travoli
was there. The wife of Kachakra was there.
However, I was on book distribution when the trucks kept passing by.
Coming.
And I didn't know what was happening. And then someone told me, "Oh, there is a coup. What are you guys doing out here distributing books?" And then somebody sent a car to pick me up. And I clearly remember that. A car just came and said, "Jump in, just jump in the car and get out of here." Because
are you with Germany at that day? Were you with Germany?
I think I was. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah,
which
you were
one,
with Germany.
I think I was with Gifty. I think I was with Gifty because Gifty used to come with me a lot on Sankirtan.
Oh, okay. That's another person, Gifty.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting. Oh, please forgive me, mother. Everybody.
Don't worry, I have pictures.
Hey, even if I can't remember you, Krishna remembers everything you did. It's in your bank account. So why worry?
And I used to cook with you in that kitchen. You taught me how to cook. So I was in that kitchen all the time with you.
Yeah.
Well,
and sometimes I'll drive everybody. This is a fact. Mukunda and everybody will go out and we will be cooking. And by 12, that's why Mukunda Prabhu was saying that yesterday we were not having, we were not hungry at all. We were buying things. You remember we would go to those people who were by the roadside making these vegetables. We would go buy vegetables from them a lot. We were cooking.
And we would go to the markets also. At least once a week, we would go to the markets. That's how I learned to actually buy boga in the markets. That's how and we were cooking for all the devotees. So
everybody.
Yeah.
And when we have kirtan there, every evening, we will go around that place. What is the name again?
Official Town Market.
Official Town. Thank you. We will go down all official town, and by the time we come back, a lot of people will be following us. The place will be packed.
Yeah.
And the Kendra and I used to just go and eat beans and plantains. I remember.
Killy
Willy.
Yeah.
You were eating a lot of Willy, I know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well,
GITA-GOVINDA is saying that he's having problems.
Yes. So I think with your permission, we're going to humbly suggest that we switch to His Grace GITA-GOVINDA Prabhu. And after he's done, if there is still some time, I personally had a couple questions for you, Maharaj.
Yes.
I think we'll go to GITA-GOVINDA Prabhu, and then from there on, we'll continue if time permits. So, His Grace GITA-GOVINDA Prabhu, please, you may unmute yourself. But I would like to say something briefly about GITA-GOVINDA Prabhu. Of course, I never performed any devotional service in Nigeria. All little devotional service I did was in Ghana. But I was so fortunate that whenever His Grace Gita-Govinda Prabhu visited Ghana. And at some point, he moved and lived in Ghana for a while. I was like his right-hand man. I was always his little boy. But His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Maharaj has been saying many times, many places, that in West Africa, we had what we call cottage industry. And I do not know how His Grace Gita-Govinda Prabhu was, or probably still is, the way he was and still is, that he is so amazing that he is like an inventor. He creates things. We were making incense. We were doing so many things, like a cottage industry, like Bhaktivedanta Maharaj used to say. And it was all engineered by Gita-Govinda Prabhu. So we have him here. Prabhuji, please, you may unmute, and then you may share. It's always nice having your association and seeing you, hearing from you. One thing, last thing I remember, there was a time Gurudev was arranged to speak in an interfaith program. This was also at the Accra, I think it was the Accra Polytechnic, I think so. And Gurudev could not be there. So Gita-Govinda Prabhu had to represent him. And of course, everybody loves Bhaktivedanta Maharaj. And when Gita-Govinda Prabhu spoke on behalf of Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, everybody was surprised. Says, how? How is it that he speaks so sweetly like Bhaktivedanta Maharaj? Of course, they were not saying Bhaktivedanta, they said Krishna Pad, they said Swami, you know. But Gita-Govinda Prabhu, please, you may unmute, and we are ready to hear you speak. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Prabhu, please. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Now, my pronouns are going to be very short because I'm a little bit out of touch with the things. So I'll just say my short pronouns and I'm getting to the subject matter. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasad Bhutale Gunati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namo Namaste Sripati Devi Gauri Pacharani Naiva Sisa Sandhavadi Paskati Adesatani. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadaya Sivasana Gaur Bhaktivinoda Vanchaka Prasudha Chaya Krita Vidincha Patitatam Padito Vaishnav. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay, I'm having technical problems. I'm trying to juggle between my PC and my phone. My phone is almost about to run out of charge, so I'll try and do as much as I can. Are you hearing an echo? Because I'm using my phone and my PC.
Sorry. We can hear you, except that your image is a little shaky.
Yes, I'm holding my phone and trying to balance everything.
Yeah.
Okay, my story begins.
Yes, the echo is there. The echo is there.
Yeah, this is crazy. Okay, let me see if I can turn down the volume of my PC.
You probably may have to mute the other device you're not.
Okay. Is it all right now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, my story begins in the 1970s when I had an amazing experience. Basically, everything I'm going to say, I already said in a talk I gave, which the video for on the it's called the Cyber Singh syndrome. I gave this talk at the University of Everything, and I basically consolidated everything that I'm going to say in that talk. So I'm just going to basically expand on that. So my story begins in around about 1972, 3 or 4. It begins when I had an extraordinary psychedelic experience. Previous to that, I grew up in Ipswich in Suffolk, which is kind of a rural part of England. And I was basically very naive, blank, like country bumpkin. And I came to London and I made friends with some people, and they introduced me to this psychedelic system. Because at that time, it was the time of the hippies and the flower power and the Beatles, Maharishi Yogi, the Hare Krishnas, and I was very much into, after the psychedelic experience, I became very interested to find out what the hell had happened. Because previous to that, I was very, very naive, very small-minded. So this like was an explosion of consciousness. And I was just trying to figure out what happened. So every weekend it was my practice to, actually I was taking LSD, you know. I would take this LSD and then I'd go downtown and I'd go to the Hare Krishna temple, used to play my bongos and to get some free food, but I never spoke to anybody, so I didn't know anything about what they were doing. And so this became my practice every weekend. And then one day I was listening to a track on an LP by a Nigerian drummer called Baba Olatunji. And I was again tripping on LSD, and the drums became personified, so to speak, and we were having this dialogue. So I thought, oh wow, this is my calling, you know. I'll play drums. Anybody can play a drum, just bang it. Yeah. 40 years later, I'm just beginning to figure it out. So I couldn't afford a drum at that time. So I did what I do. I made my first drum. Yeah. And then everybody was asking me where I bought my drum. And so well, I made it. I said, wow, you can do like that? Can you make me one? And that's why I started making drums. Now at that time, the flower power, you know, the hippies and stuff were doing their thing, so to speak. And then out of that came actually the consciousness revolution. And then out of that came the Black consciousness revolution, yeah, where everyone was talking about going back to Africa, finding your roots and so on and so forth. Everybody was singing about it. Out of that came the Bob Marleys, the Jimmy Cliffs, and all of these other people. So everybody was singing about going back home to the motherland, but nobody actually, or very few actually went there. So I actually went there. But previous to that, I'd met some Ghanaian musicians and drummers and so on. So I'd started my drumming journey. And my girlfriend, she was working in a school. And one of the groups that came over, a group that came over called Sankofa, about 26 drummers and dancers, they had managerial problems, and so they disbanded. So we grabbed the dancer and one of the master drummers, and we formed our own little group. And then my girlfriend asked the teacher if we could do a little performance for the children. So we did a little performance in the school for the children, and they were completely blown away, you know. And the next thing, all the other schools were saying, "Can you come and do it?" So we were the pioneers of African drumming in the schools, which nowadays it's probably on the curriculum of all of the schools. Yeah. So then shortly after that, I went to Ghana, and my girlfriend had gone first. She'd enrolled in the University of Ghana, and we had there was a community off campus of foreign devotees, a lot of Afro-Americans there, and different people. So I stayed in that chalet with her, and I registered at the university. I never really attended any seminars or anything, just to get my papers and my visas and everything. Yeah, and I was spending my time in the villages and so on, because I wanted to find out, who I was. What's my ancestral, connection. So that was my interest. So I did all of the things that, forbidden things, so to speak. Dabbled with all the jujus and the magics and all everything that's forbidden. Fools rushing where angels fear to tread, so to speak. Anyway, I learned much from there. But after all of that, it was a bit of an anticlimax, in the sense that I was thinking that once I'd found my ancestral connection, I'd be satisfied and fulfilled, right off into the sunset, But it wasn't like that. It was like somebody invited you to this famous restaurant where they serve this nice food on your birthday, and you go there and you have their best meal, and after you've eaten, you're thinking, well, what? So what happened after that? Yeah, so I can't, let me see what happened after. Yeah, okay. Then I started doing business. Yeah, I started doing business. I started exporting instruments to UK and London. In fact, I sailed back to London after I'd been in Ghana about 3 months. I sailed back on the Black Star Line with a consignment of drums and so on and so forth. My colleagues in London. I missed a lot out here because by the time I left Ghana, England, we had a drum workshop, a drum factory, and we were making things. And we had this dream of coming to Ghana to start this project, Food, Music, and Shelter. And one of the music side was the manufacturing and promoting of African music and drumming and so on and so forth. So I started sending drums back, and I sailed back on the Black Star Line. Took me about 3 weeks, amazing experience. So I got back to London, and all my people were laughing at me, because they said, why didn't I fill up the drum with weed? So they thought, So when I after I sold the drum to go paid, I bought Western instruments and I brought them back to Ghana. And there was this I was walking past one day and I saw a guy making drums, an old man. So, we got talking, we made friends. It turned out his brother was the musical director for the police band. Okay. So I met him, and
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
Is it possible to mute the other device you are not using at all?
I'm trying to see how to do that.
Because there is quite an echo.
Okay. I'm not very comfortable here. You see, the audio of my PC is not working. That's why I have to use the phone.
I've turned the volume down on the PC.
Okay, all right. You may go ahead now.
Yeah. So I met his brother, and oh, wait on. I think
it's okay.
Are you still hearing me?
Yeah,
it's okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay. You know what? I needed to mute the audio on the PC.
Yes. I muted the other one, so it's working.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Yeah. So I met his brother, and his brother introduced me to the IGP, Inspector General of Police, and so I started supplying the police band with instruments, and then later on I started supplying the Armed Forces band. So this was my business. I'd come and make instruments. I got some photographs there actually, which Sadev has me loading instruments and so on. So I'd come to Ghana and send a lot of instruments back to. By that time also I branched out to the US. And I'm just prefacing what I want to say about how I came to Krishna consciousness. So bear with me, yeah. And then I'd been doing that for some time, and everybody was expecting me to become a millionaire because I was making very nicely. I had I had a 4-bedroom house. I had a Mercedes-Benz Unimog truck. I had a V8 Camaro car, and I had everything basically. I was doing very, very nicely, but I still wasn't satisfied. There was this kind of, something was not right. I wasn't happy. Yeah. And then one day there was a coup. I think that was when Jerry Rawlings came on and deposed Achampong. Now, the way I was sending my things to America and the UK was through Pan Am Airways and another airways. I had an arrangement at the airport. I would just go and tip the manager. Are you still hearing me?
Yeah, hearing.
Yeah. Yes. I used to tip the managers at these airlines, and they would just put all my stuff on the plane, and so I didn't have to have any export license or any of the formalities, yeah. But when Rawlings came on, he came on specifically to stamp out the corruption and everything, yeah. So nobody wanted to touch anything under the counter. And it just happened that my last shipment to America was a flop, because instead of sending instruments, I sent a lot of clothing, which was a complete flop. So I was trying to recoup my losses, and I had a big consignment going to America. I had a company in New York, African Trading Post, 103rd and Broadway. And so I had this big shipment to go there. And then when the coup came, of course, they didn't want to send it. So the drums, the crates of drums was in the warehouse for about 3 months. And by the time I got to them, rats had eaten, the skins on the drums, and bugs had got into the seeds on the maracas, and about 75% of the shipment was closed. So I started making African instruments. I engaged all the people, the boys and girls in the Arts Council, to make these shekarays for me, and I was supplying the hotels and so on and so forth. Anyway, I cut a long story short. So when the coup came on, my flatmate, my best friend, Kofi Ashibo-Mensah, he became Secretary for Trade in the government. And I think Maharaj, you were with me. We went to his office one time in the ministries. Remember when Guy Warren was there, and you had this big argument about chanting mantras and so on and so forth in the ministries, in the office in the ministries. Yeah. So and my friend, he was like one of these Marxist-Leninist type of people. And so he didn't want to drive his brand new Mercedes-Benz office car. So he used to leave it in the compound. So me and the driver would be sitting in the compound all day talking nonsense and smoking weed stuff, So one night he came home with his Bhagavad Gita. Now we're getting into the subject matter, how I came to Krishna consciousness. He came home with his Bhagavad Gita. And he flipped through it, all this goddy stuff. He hasn't got time to slung it in the corner somewhere. So in the afternoon, me and the driver, we used to be on my house, the roof, smoking and talking nonsense. And this Bhagavad Gita kept coming into my head, about 3 afternoons. So I went down to his house and got the Bhagavad Gita and came back. I rolled up a joint and started smoking. I opened the Bhagavad Gita randomly, and chapter 2, text 12. Natumi Vaham Natunisam Natwava Mijavasma Sarvibhyamataparam. I forget what the other part of the verse was. Anyways, Krishna is saying to Arjuna, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, and in the future should we cease to be. Wow, that got my attention. Yeah. So I kept reading. So that was my practice every afternoon. I'd come and get stoned and read the Bhagavad Gita. So then I thought, yeah, I'd have to get some more information. I remember I'd seen a devotee in town. So I said to the driver, let's go. So we jumped in the Benz. We went around and we found Mother Marjorie. So I bought all the books I could get from her. I gave her a nice donation, and she gave me an invitation to the Sunday feast. So for about 3 weeks, I was procrastinating. When the Sunday came, I'll go next week. And then one Sunday, I said to the driver, let's go. So I jumped in the Benz. I went to the temple. I pulled up in front of the temple. Big mistake. You imagine I pulled up in front of the temple with a brand new Mercedes-Benz with a soldier chauffeur. I just wanted to go discreetly and find out what these guys were doing. And they pulled up with this brand new, and everybody was looking at me as if I was some kind of royalty or something. Give me red carpet. I forget who was the temple president at the time. Anyway, I stayed for the class, and I think Jiva Goswami gave the class, and I was completely blown away. And then later I started frequenting the temple, And then I think that's when I met Maharaj. I maybe got the sequence right. Anyway, we became friends. And then all the devotees used to come back to my house, and I'd cook for them, and they'd be preaching to me. But before that, I used to go to them and hang out on the roof every afternoon. And I was a bit puffed up. I didn't want to speak to anybody. But then one day, some of the Gurukul boys said the senior devotees were inviting me to come down to their ashram. And I said, oh my God, I don't want to go there. Anyway, reluctantly, I went down and I just sat in a corner. But then all the books I got from Madhamaji, I'd been reading them for about 3 weeks and smoking and reading and smoking. And then all the questions I had, they were discussing in their discussion. So within a few minutes, I was in the heat of the discussion, asked some questions, and so on. We became friends. And they used to come back to my place, and I was supplying them, the temple with food, and and then after that, I began to look at my life. I'd done everything. I'd had the money, I'd had the girls, I've had the cars, I've had, traveled and everything, but I still wasn't satisfied, And then in the books, I was reading about renunciation, So I just said to myself, to hell with it. I'm gonna join the temple. So I was a bit embarrassed having so much material things. So I secretly gave away all of my possessions, including all my land and so on. I had a nice piece of plot on top looking after over Achimoto Golf Course. I had land on what do you call it, Tosano, and land in along the beach. So many lands. So I gave everything away. I just gave away all my money, gave away all my clothes, and I turned up on the temple doorstep with a paper bag, with a pair of trousers and a shirt. And that's where I stayed for the next. Well, shortly after that, I think Upananda Prabhu was coming on a visit, and he was going to Nigeria. So he invited me to come to Nigeria. So we jumped in the van, and we drove to the border. The border was closed because of the coup. And then, so what happened? The driver was allowed to go through the border, and then with one person, and the rest of us had to go through the bush path to meet him on the other side of the border. But then Upananda Prabhu, because of his white body, he couldn't go through. The soldiers would have said, "What's he doing here?" So he had to go back to Accra and fly down to Lagos. So we went through the bush path and met the driver on the other side, and we drove to Lagos. So we got to Lagos about 3 o'clock in the morning. Oh my God, I got 1% left on this phone. I don't know if it's going to cut out anytime. Anyway, we got to the temple, and the temple was, had so many cars and things, and a container. And in the morning, we attended the Mangalati, and then we had breakfast. And the breakfast, compared to what we were having in Ghana, was like, in Ghana, we had gari and beans and, some. But in Lagos, the morning prashadam was like about 4 or 5, 6 preparations. After you'd had breakfast, you just had to just keel over until 12 o'clock. So then I saw this container in the yard, and it so happens it was a container of incense. One Indian had donated, and he donated it because the fragrance had expired on the incense. There was no fragrance. So this is a no-brainer for me, because my office, my company in New York.
Excuse me, GITA-GOVINDA Prabhu, I believe where you are at, it's a room. If you have an electrical outlet, you can still plug in your phone while.
Yeah, I plugged it in. I've plugged it in, but it's still not charging.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the problem.
Okay.
And my PC, I can't get any sound on it.
You may
so I've just got 1%, and I don't know how we're going to do. Anyway, I'll just keep talking until see if it may just hold that 1%, for some time to get me through. Okay. Yeah. So one of my partners in the office in my company, his girlfriend was working in this essential oil company, and what he used to do is to buy these cartons of punk, what they used to light fireworks. It looks like incense sticks without any fragrance. Yeah. So they'll light them, and then they use it to touch the touch paper on fireworks. So what do? Get the oil, cut it with some alcohol, and soak this carton of sticks inside the oil, and then dry them out, and then print some hieroglyphics and so on in an incense zipper thing. Load up his bag with about 200 or 300 packets of incense, and he'd go out on the tube, come back in a couple of hours, with a few $100s. I'm saying this to say, when I saw this incense in the temple, I saw it's a no-brainer. I just have to find some essential oil, and I think it's Setraketu, Shastra Prabhu. We went out and we found a company, and I got about 100 ml of oil and some incense, and I made an experiment with a few sticks of incense, and I was behind the temple in
Coconut Road in Lagweju.
Coco Road, yeah, and I lit the incense, and after a few minutes, I heard, "Who is that burning incense down there?" Brahmananda Swami, who's upstairs. His ashram is on top. "Who is burning incense down there?" I said, "Oh my God, what have I done? What have I done?" I said, "It's me, Maharaj." He said, "Come here."
Oh,
Nothing is gone.
yes, his battery died out. We got it to the
Have I been cut off?
Okay, yeah, we can hear you now.
No. I've been cut off and I don't have any.
Well, you can still speak on this without us seeing you, which is still okay. We can hear you, we just can't see you.
I think his battery is dead.
Yeah. He's using 2 devices. The other device is working.
He said that is not working.
Yeah, okay. So I think, dear devotees, we apologize for this inconvenience. And probably it also offers us a little bit of opportunity to ask questions or share reflections. And one question I have for you, Maharaj, Bhaktivedanta Shanta Maharaj, is that you were there at the very beginning. I've heard, like today is the 3rd day, I've heard many devotees speak, and they all talk about Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Brahmananda Swami then. But I haven't heard anybody say much about Kirtanand Maharaj.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, I think I've managed to do something. I don't think I can get video though, but I maybe to do the audio.
Yeah, the audio should still be fine.
Yeah, so Brahmananda, he said, come up here. So I went upstairs. He said, where'd you get that incense? Where you get that incense? I said, oh, Maharaj, it's the incense that was in the yard. He said, you can do like that? Wow. Ching, 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 ching. So we worked out the logistics, how much it would cost to, do so. So I bought, I think, about a few liters of oil. And so that was my first service. I made all this incense, and devotees would come and load up their bags, and they would go to the market, and the market women would go crazy. They don't want to see devotees with incense, and they tell them they're going to do their market, that was my first service, So for a long, long time, devotees from all over the regions would come and get, load up their bags. In the morning, everybody doing Bhagavatam class, everybody would be packing incense, So then that was my first service, and then I started doing everything I touched basically turned to gold, But then one day I think Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj came, and I just saw this whoosh of saffron going up the stairs, and every time I saw him, he just whooshed past the saffron, So one time we were together in his ashram. And I said, Maharaj, what am I supposed to be doing? What's my service? He said, oh, you can be director for special projects. Yeah, you can be director for special projects. I said, okay, wow, I had some service now, So I mean, this is what I've been doing all my life. I just make things and do things. So I started doing all these projects, and then after some time, the incense ran out. Okay. And then, so I made this hydraulic incense machine, which we used to use to make dupe with cassava, starch, sawdust, charcoal, saltpeter, and then dip it in oil and then pack it. And so that's what we're doing. Then I started making jewelry. I started making drums. You've got all the pictures there, some of the things I was doing. I was making fabricating machines for ceramics for companies and so many things. And then I started getting back into my export business again that I was doing. I started exporting drums to my colleagues here, and then I'd fly down to London and collect the money and send back books and so on and so forth, and use money to finance, projects like that. So that was my service, for some time. And I was doing this very successfully. Then I went to Amsterdam and I bought a Toyota Hiace bus. But previous to that, there was an old Beetle that Upananda Prabhu had, and it had an accident or something. It was just sitting there. So I bought one of these Tocumbo Beetle engines. I think it was in Kaduna. So I chartered the car. I drove down there with the engine and put it in, and then drove the car back to Lagos. And then I went to the scrapyard and I got a new body for it, changed the body, and you can see there's a picture of the car there, yeah. And it was a beautiful car. It looks like a new car, And yeah, and then I think this guy.
Shri GITA-GOVINDA Prabhu, can we go over the photos while you're speaking so you can...
Sorry?
Can we go over the photos you sent to me?
The volume has gone down again. I thought I was going to get through this.
Sorry. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but very faintly. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you are very clear.
Yeah, okay. I just have to get nearer to the thing because the volume on my PC, for some reason, the headphones are not working and the volume, I don't know how to get it up.
I was asking if we could go over the photos you sent me while you're describing.
I can't make it out. I can't make you out.
All right, you go ahead.
I can't make you out.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, so I had this Beetle car. I think there's a picture there, and Tree Yoga stole it. He connived with his colleagues and he stole it. Yeah. Similarly, the bus was also stolen. Okay. And then one devotee, I was trying to do some gemstone business, and one devotee set me up and with some people to buy the gemstones, and they turned out to be policemen. So I was waiting in a place, and then they came, and then these two guys busting with pistols, demanding where's the gemstones and stuff. So they turned out to be policemen. So they locked me up. I went to the police station. They locked me up in the dungeon, so to speak, with all these armed robbers and prostitutes. So word got back to the temple. In the morning, they came and released me. So it was quite an interesting journey. And then what happened after that? Yeah, so that was my business, going backwards and forwards and developing all these projects. And then Maharaj, Bhaktitirtha Maharaj, yeah, I think it was three of us who were candidates for sannyas ashram, yeah. And there's a 5-year probationary period. And I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to do this, but I was at a stage in my life where I was like a kind of a people pleaser. I didn't know how to say no. So I was going along with this, but I wasn't in my heart of hearts, that's the last thing I wanted, So I had about 2 months to go on my probationary period. And then I fell in love with this Indian lady, Mike's wife, Mike's sister, Hiru. I think you remember her. And so that disqualified me. Yeah. So I was very happy about that, So then I came back to the UK and okay, let me just go back. Let me just back up. One day, Abhimanyu Prabhu gave me an article from one of the papers. The article was about this CIA agent called something more or something. The book was called Behold the Pale Horse. So when I read the article, I became interested, very interested. Because me and Bhakti Tet Maharaj, we used to have all these discussions about UFOs and stuff. We'd go on Chapel Walk to the airport and we'd be talking about all this stuff, So I asked him to get me this book next time he went to the US, So he came back with the book. And I read the book from cover to cover, and I was completely blown away because this whole, what the book was about, this CIA agent, he was in the Navy, and he was in charge of declassified, coded messages. So he got to discover that there was a shadow government, So he became a whistleblower, and he wrote this book detailing all the information, the secrets, what the government were doing, so on and so forth. So I'm the kind of person, if I hear something profound, I can't keep my mouth shut. I have to be talking about it, So I'd be talking about this in the temple environment, which was not the place, And so shortly after that, when I fell down, I came back to the UK and I continued my research, yeah. And out of that, I got into psychedelics, and in fact, I've done all of the psychedelics. I don't know how many gallons of ayahuasca I've drunk, how many, micrograms of LSD I've taken, how many, just about everything. I'm a psychonaut, by the way. Yeah. I don't know, if anybody knows what a psychonaut is. You know what an astronaut is? Astronauts explore outer space. So psychonauts explore inner space. Yeah. Astronauts use mechanical means to explore outer space. Psychonauts use, breath, chanting, mantras, sacred herbs, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so that's what I do. I'm a very seasoned 50-year psychonaut. And what am I saying this to say? Yeah, so I went my round on this particular journey, and I always say that the spiritual journey is a transcendental journey in the sense that you have arrived at your destination before you've even left. Yeah. I'm saying this to say that after I've done all of the forbidden things, I found out that there was something missing, There was no taste in any of these things, All of the psychedelics and everything that everyone was raving about, I've done all of it. I've done it to the max, because I don't do things by half. And what I discovered that after all this, there was no taste in any of these things, Then I started, looking at Krishna consciousness again, and seeing it from, another perspective, And then, and so I started getting back into it again. And one day I was by the way, I kind of facilitate drum circles, and in the conscious community, I hold a space of like a kind of elder. They see me as some kind of elder, so I hold that kind of space. Drum circles and ceremonies and so on. So I play drums. And one day, one lady, one young devotee, she said to me, "Oh, today is Lord Jagannath's appearance day." And that was the seed that was planted, So from there, I started getting, kind of downloads from Lord Jagannath, Because one time what happened was I was in a place and I was listening to some music, and behind me I could feel this presence of some being behind me, yeah? And this being was showing me through the lyrics of the record that was playing, the track on the record, basically my future, And I had no knowledge, I had no information about what he was showing me, but it was the lyrics in the song was saying, I'm kind of not kind of a, it's saying that if all the things I'm showing you, yeah, are not what they seem, then don't mind me, because I'm just a dream. Yeah. So basically, we're saying I'm showing you all this stuff, but if you don't experience these things, then you can just say I'm just a dreamer, But everything that he showed me, I've actually experienced it, And the being I got to find out was actually Lord Jagannath. Yeah. And I always say, don't take anything I say as true, just open-minded skepticism. Yeah. So Lord Jagannath, I call him Papa Jags, affectionately. He's my papa, And we have an amazing relationship. And although I'm not, I'm not fully in the in the fold sort of thing, chanting every day and doing all these things. But still, I have this amazing relationship with Lord Jagannath, and all he needs is your love. We just have this loving relationship. And he has actually shown me something that he wants to do. And and he's a trickster. He's a trickster. He's a big trickster. He's tricked me for, since that time, many, many years. And there's a story about him. You want to hear some Jagannath Katha?
Yeah.
There's a story about him. And there was this devotee called Subal. And Subal was an old, pure devotee, old man. And one day he was sick. So this young boy came to serve him. He was washing him, taking care of him and so on and so forth. So after he got well, the young boy said to him, let's go to the king's garden and steal some breadfruit.
Jackfruit.
So Subal said to him, well, why do you want to go to the king's garden and steal breadfruit? If I want breadfruit, the king will personally bring it to me. He said, no, let's go to the king's garden and steal. Because if you steal the fruit, it tastes much sweeter. Yeah. So you just climb up the tree and I'll wait down below and you drop the breadfruit to me. Yeah. And we can go home and enjoy. So they went to the king, broke in the king's garden. Subal climbed the tree. He said, okay, I've got the key. He said, are you ready? He said, yes, I'm ready. Drop the fruit. So he picked the fruit and dropped it. Gosh, it smashed on the ground. The boy was not there. So the king's gardener came and said, oh, who is in the king's garden? Who is that? So he came and he looked up. He looked up. Subal, what are you doing up there? So he went and called the king. The king came. He said, Subal, what are you doing up there? Come now, come. If you'd want breadfruit, I would have personally brought it to you. Why do you want to come and see? So he started narrating about, how this young boy had tricked him into going to the garden. So they all realized, Jagannath is playing the tricks again. So they had a good laugh and used to do. So that's how Lord Jagannath is. So he's been tricking me all this time, and basically he's giving me this service, and I'm going to be coming to Ghana and Nigeria and so on and so forth. And he's got this what we call this Jag's groove, It's a way of drumming.
GITA-GOVINDA Prabhu.
Sorry?
Can you hear me?
Sorry?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Yeah. Okay. I just want, excuse me. I just wanted.
Am I getting in my time?
Yes, I just wanted to draw your attention to the time.
Okay, I'll just wrap up now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've got this Jag's groove, and anytime I play it in the drum circle, I can trick people into chanting Hare Krishna. So this is the way that he's going to trick the whole world into chanting Hare Krishna with this Jag's groove. Yeah. So you're going to see what I say. Don't believe anything I say, but ask me for my receipts. And you will see. He's a big trickster. He's my papa, and I love him, and he loves me, and we're good. Okay, so I'll stop here. I'm just kind of, consolidating anything, but if I want to go, I can go and talk for the next 3 days, and not even into the subject matter.
Yeah, Prabhuji, before you go, can you tell us the story about the cooking they made you do to make in was it Lagos temple, the subject that they asked you to do?
I didn't quite hear it. The volume here is not.
Yeah, I know cooking wasn't your hobby. You have a special profession or special service. But I understand one day you were asked to cook, and you cook very deliciously. And I would like you to tell us that story, that pastime.
Oh, I can't hear.
Okay, let me try to repeat if you can hear from my end. Can you hear me?
I've got a problem with the audio on my PC. It doesn't. I can barely hear you. Oh, wait a minute. I got some juice in my phone. I got 3%. Let's see if I can get back online. I'll be able to hear that. Just a second. Let's see if I can get back online. Yes, sure. Am I over time or?
Well, I must say to devotees, we thank you and appreciate you all for.
Yeah, just a sec. I'm almost back now.
For being here all along. We've been here for 3 hours.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
I'll soon be able to hear you. Just a second.
Yeah. Tomorrow, by Shri Guru Krishna's grace, we'll have 3 devotees speak. We'll have His Grace Achana Prabhu, who is from Ghana. And then we'll have Sriman Varaha Acharya Prabhu, who is currently based in Lome, Togo. And of course, we'll have our mother, Mother Vrajalila, speak tomorrow. And then on Friday, which is the roundup, we will have all the speakers, especially those who may be available, to reminisce all that has been shared from Monday through Thursday. Because this is oral history, and some important information might have been forgotten while you were sharing. But when you went back home and thought about it, you might have remembered something. So Friday, everybody will have the opportunity to get back and then reflect on what has been shared. And if something was missing, we can piece them together, piece them up.
I have a point to make.
Okay, thank you, Maharaj.
Yes.
Go ahead.
The mothers, especially Vrajalila,
Yeah.
if it is only one person, it will be wrong. So you should have more mothers who could speak. I'm sorry, because at the beginning, many of them were there, So if Rajalila speaks, you should get somebody else who could back her up or say something, So, you think about that, whatever you to do.
May I ask you a quick question, Prabhu?
Mhm.
Other than Parameshwari and myself, what other mothers were there? Because
You, Parameshwari, Mother Sangha came.
Sangha came later. She came when I was in Ghana.
Yeah,
after
she came.
something.
She was in Nigeria with Siki Mahiti.
Yeah, but that was much
Siki
later.
Mahiti left, Prabhu left, and then we
MAHA-MANTRA, that was much later. That was after we even went to Ghana. That they came to Ghana, and then so from my understanding, what we're doing is supposedly the very early days of what we're doing. And I have no objections. I always love to be with other Matajis, and as you may not know, but that's kind of like one of my projects is to work with mothers. So I have no objections. But in this case, I just want there were no other mothers because I was the one preaching. I was the only woman that was preaching.
Actually, I was always going with you to Apapa in a taxi, if you remember.
Yes, of course I remember. Because Parameshwari was very big pregnant. And she couldn't. So I just,
Yeah. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for the suggestion.
There's one thing, Sahadeo Prabhuji, just one last thing. I know it's quick. I did want to, I put it in the chat, but I also wanted to say it publicly. Prabhu, we are so indebted to you and your team. This was like a very, very amazing thing. I know it's not over yet, but it's a very thing because you don't know how much healing, how much refreshing, how much inspiration has come from devotees being able to remember the degree of service that they were trying to put in their spiritual life. So I know many devotees feel like that, but I want to openly say it to you to thank you very, very much to you. And I know you have a team that had to do this as well. And I'm also agreeable, probably in the future, Rajalila, I know she's done a lot of work. I've seen some of the seminars and things she did. It would be very nice if we could regroup some of those mothers who were in Africa and have a separate time also to put together the contributions that they all made. Brother Lila was certainly the head of that. I remember she lived in a room downstairs and had to train so many of those mothers. So it would be nice. I'm sure they would be inspired as well.
Yes.
And one thing also, we
Thank you
shouldn't
so much,
forget Brother Lila and my former ex-wife, who were very instrumental in collecting and sending a lot of things to West Africa.
Yeah.
That should also be acknowledged.
Yeah.
No, we should not leave out what people have done. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, thank you so much. In a battle, there are different aspects to battle. Oftentimes, people talk about just those on the battlefield, but there are many other important things that have to go on behind the scene. And there were so many wonderful devotees behind the scene without whose help those who were physically on the battlefield probably could not have survived. So they all need to be acknowledged. So, like we were saying, who knows? This probably may be the first phase of this genesis of Hare Krishna movement in West Africa. There may be second, third phase, fourth, fifth, because the stories and the pastimes are just too many. There are so many things that have not been touched on yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure even if we come back and speak second, third, fourth time, there still will be so many things unleft. I've been saying this, that please forgive me. I'm an African, I'm Ghanaian, and I'm proud, materially speaking, being Black, being African. But we were so naive and not so smart enough to put lots of these leelas into recording, and now we have to do all by trying to recollect what was said, what was done, and we're going to miss out some. But it's a good effort. We're going to humbly request the devotees to still hang on for a couple more minutes, and devotees may have the opportunity to ask a few questions. Because we've been here for over 3 hours, we will suggest to devotees not to prolong their questions or bring in too many questions. That could be continued tomorrow and a day after tomorrow.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Before we go to Mother Gail and Shriman Varaha Acharya, they have their hands up. I was asking a question to His Holiness Shanta Maharaj and probably any of the early devotees. We've been talking about Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj and Brahmananda Swami Maharaj, but very little has been mentioned about Kirtanand Maharaj. I understand that during those early days, both Bhaktivedanta Maharaj and Brahmananda were sannyasis. They were not initiating gurus. So devotees, of course, had to take initiation. And I also understand that there was a debate sort of between who should be the initiating guru for West Africa. And I understand Brahmananda Maharaj was suggesting Bhagwan Maharaj, and Bhaktivedanta Maharaj was also suggesting Kirtanand Maharaj. I don't know how true this is, but if devotees can share how Kirtanand Maharaj came into the picture and his role in cultivating Hare Krishna in West Africa. If any of you may pick this question, Hare Krishna.
Okay. So I will let Ekendra, because we personally spoke with our Guru Maharaj during that time.
Okay.
So maybe Kendra could share what he knows, and then I'll check if that's just what happened.
Okay. So,
Yeah, yes. So, Haribo, can you hear me?
Yes.
So, at the time that it was getting ripe for devotees to take initiation, Srila Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj had suggested that we write to some of the persons who were giving initiation at that time. Of course, as some devotees have mentioned, during that time, it was still under the zonal acharya kind of system. So we wrote to the person. There was nobody who was the acharya per se of West Africa at that time, because it's only in 1979 that Brahmananda registered with the GBC and he became the GBC of West Africa. But there was no zonal acharya there. The acharya who was closest would have been Jayatirtha Maharaj, who was in charge of South Africa and East Africa at the time. So we wrote to Jayatirtha Maharaj, but at the time there was also some difficulties afoot that weren't really public, but it was undercurrent. And secondly, he had no interest. So then we started reaching out, to others, because the initial feeling was that Kirtanananda, because of New Vrindavan and the business with New Vrindavan, he may not have an interest. We just were conjecturing like that. So we wrote to Bhavananda, we wrote to Bhagavan, and none of them had any interest really to come because they felt it would be a full-time commitment. Srila Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, of course, at the time was not giving initiation. So then he asked me that you should write to Kirtanananda because myself and Brajalila had taken initiation from Kirtanananda, and he had also taken sannyas in New Vrindavan from Kirtanananda, and that if we wrote him, then maybe he would take up the mantle. So we wrote to him, and I really think in the backdrop he decided to do it because Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj was kind of behind it, because he also liked Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj very much, and there was a very deep relationship because many Sankirtan devotees used to come and Srila Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj would take care of them and host them. So we wrote to him and he agreed. So then I think it was in 81 or 82 maybe even, that himself and one devotee named Nityodita Prabhu, they came to Africa. Me and Nityodita Prabhu are very good friends today. He usually hosts my Hari Katha in New Vrindavan. So they came, and I think Srivas Prabhu may have mentioned that they initiated, there were some people recommended, but I think they just went beyond the recommendations and just initiated a lot more people. Srivas, I'll check with him on that. But I know we had certain people recommended. Like, for instance, I did not recommend Lakshmi Pati Prabhu, but somehow or another, he got initiated. I can't remember. There was a lot of drama around that, but he got initiated. So he initiated many, many devotees at that time. Myself and Vrajalila, we already initiated when we came because we took our initiation in New Vrindavan and so forth. So I don't know if Vrajalila can verify that, but that's what I've understood so far.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Madam Raj, please.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes. So when Guru Maharaj he spoke to Kirtananda actually and asked him if he would do it because that was his sannyas guru also. And Kirtananda Maharaj at first was like, it was a lot in terms of even his travel at the time, because his body was not well. However, he agreed, as Akindra is saying, because of that relationship that they had. It was him, though, Kirtananda, that suggested to Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj that he could not keep coming and that Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj would need to take that responsibility because Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, Guru Maharaj, did not want to do that. He did not want to take the responsibility of taking disciples. That was his mood of humility, just like he didn't want to do that for sannyas. However, Kirtananda Maharaj, at the time, Kirtananda, he encouraged him to start thinking about that he would need to take disciples because he could not keep coming back. And that's how eventually, I think it took a year or maybe it might have been 2 years even before Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj decided to accept that responsibility of taking disciples. So that was the Kirtananda Maharaj saga. And also with Kendra and myself, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj was the one that suggested that we take initiation from Kirtananda at the time, because he was not a guru. He was not an initiating spiritual master. I mean, when we met him, he had just become a sannyas. So he suggested that we do that, and that's how that ended up like that.
Wow. So in my case, what I remember, I was even told to go to England to take initiation from Tirtha Maharaj.
Yeah, Tirtha.
Sorry, Tirtha Maharaj, probably. Yeah. So yeah, it was difficult at that time. Nobody was able to take any initiation. You guys were fortunate. Later on, you know, Srila Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj will give initiation every 6 months or a year. Yeah. But for us, it took me about 4 years.
Yeah, I remember I came back in 1986 after I was in India, because Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj wanted us to see what progress had been made in Nigeria. That's the same year that Ganesham Prabhu, the Bengali devotee, Kirtaniya, and Rohini Nandan came. And I remember I did a yajna in Owerri for over, I think, 60 or 70 devotees taking initiation. There was a festival in Owerri where it's all the devotees from all the different temples would come for a huge festival. And I remember that year there was like Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj initiated like 60 or 70 people at a time.
There were many.
Yeah.
I'm
Awesome.
gonna try to upload these, but I have some pictures of the initiations.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
I have some big pictures also.
Okay.
Well, we will humbly plead with you all if you can somehow, of course, these days, just with our cell phone, we can take a photo and then send them as PDF or as fax, and then we can try to save all these. They are very, very important that we should keep all these records.
Yeah, I want to say, Saha and all the devotees, how important it was for our spiritual master, because he kept these pictures. He kept these pictures, and so I'm able to have these pictures. I mean, these are pictures of him doing the initiation. Yeah. He kept them, and if you can see, they're in such good condition. Yeah. Because he really, it was a treasure. It was really like he valued the fact that he was able to offer that service.
Yeah. Wow.
In fact, we would have had many pictures for you folks, but where we were staying in Ingraham, the pictures, sorry, Brajalela and Mukunda left them in the basement. Then they got flooded. And so some of these pictures that you see, I saved them. I went through this thing and took the ones that were, and I was crying. And now you see, now they are very necessary.
Very, very, very.
Yashoda Mai also has lots of pictures.
Oh, very good.
He saved a lot of pictures.
Can you get from her? Maybe if she'll be on tomorrow, she comes on, because maybe some of these we have not even seen, especially the ones that Maharaj himself personally kept. That would be really wonderful.
Well, I have the ones he personally kept, but Yashoda has the ones that we had when we were in
Ingraham.
In Ingraham, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of Central African pictures were in that mix too.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all the devotees. Mother Gail, please, you may mute. Then we'll go to Srimad Varaha Acharya Prabhu, and then we may round it up for the day. I had some messages from my precious friends, my intestines. They're calling me. Mother Gail.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
So I have 2 questions that are both for Shanta Maharaj. You were in your personal history, right? You mentioned 2 things. One was that you had, as a teenager, I believe, these stigmatas, these like Jesus-like markings, right?
Mm-hmm. I didn't have them. I was feeling.
Okay, so you were feeling. So I'm just wondering, one question is, I'm just wondering, how would you connect that, if at all, to your coming into Krishna consciousness? You know, I was wondering if you were making any connection with that.
Yes.
And the other question was about your prison experience, where, I mean, such a torturous experience, and you know, it took you a couple months to recover even after you came out.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, the reason why I'm citing this experience is because it is my practice to try and link our calamities in life with Krishna's blessings.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm wondering if you were ever able to see, if at all, how such a torturous experience as that prison lockup, how you're, if you were able to see Krishna's mercy behind that, if indeed you feel that there was mercy behind it. So these are the two questions: the stigmatas and Krishna's mercy behind your prison lockup.
Yeah, Mother Vrajalila will confirm. When even I came, I was very attached to Jesus Christ. I was a Christian. It's true. Even my friends who were in college with me, when they saw me, those who will be praying with me, they said, what are you doing? So yes, one time I had a dream, and this is a fact. Srila Prabhupada was telling me, you think me and Jesus, we are different? There's a difference? Says no. So it had an effect. When I went to Lagos and I got the book that was the first book I got, and that was the personality who was appearing to me. It actually affected me. Already I was searching. So it reconnected everything. So yes, it brought me into devotional service, and I knew I was not doing anything wrong. Still, I had to pray. If Mother Mukunda and Mother Vrajalila will remember, in Alajo, on the wall was a big picture of Jesus Christ. Do you remember?
I don't remember. Maybe
you don't remember? Okay. And every time I'm chanting my Hare Krishna, I'll be facing that picture. So yeah, it did have effect. The second, yes, the prison experience was, it was too much for me. No, I didn't come out feeling any negative. I was still very much attached in my faith to my faith, but it just made me, go deeper. In fact, apart from that, I've had many experiences where Krishna has saved me. In Zambia, for instance, I had a car accident where my whole car went under at the truck of, a huge truck. Everything got destroyed, but where I was sitting, everything was intact. And when I came out, we had about 3 devotees that came to the temple because of when they were there, they saw the accident. So everything that happened was gearing me towards, strengthening my faith.
Well, that truck accident is quite apparent how you can experience, a stronger faith, because you shouldn't have come out alive, yet you did. But with the prison experience, where your body was tortured and probably your mind too, how that's quite, antithetical to this truck experience. So how did that end up deepening your faith, especially while you're going through it?
Okay, I was not there alone. I was there with Echo Dave, I was there with the one in Liberia, the one who left the body.
Jyoti?
Jyoti. I was there with Jyoti, was in the prison with me. Echo Dave was there. What happened was the moment we came out from that experience, I told Jyoti, we have to open another temple. Jyoti was, no, not Jyoti, Echo Dave. Echo Dave was my assistant. So I sent Echo Dave with the car to Benin. So from Port Harcourt, the first temple we opened was Benin. Then me and what is his name? Upananda Prabhu, Avadut Maharaj. There was a lady in Warri from South India, married to an African Nigerian. The place they had for their son, the son had gone to Europe or America and wouldn't come back. So she told us to come and take it. So we went and took that place, and the first person we put in that place was, please forgive me, the one who is Guru Das. That's how we sent Guru Das to Warri. So from that experience, we started, other temples.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much.
All right, but I know my time is up, but I still don't understand how torture led to that inspiration.
I don't know myself. See, I can't remember what actually I was telling them. We can't stay in Warri, in Port Harcourt forever, because where we were in Port Harcourt was inside a barracks. So we had to move out. And I was thinking, to move out, we should find means of going. And at that time, Benin was very good. And Echo Day was good. So he went to Benin. He started Benin. And I think either Varaha or Anandini took over from him. If Varaha is still here, he will confirm who was the first, second, or third. I know Varaha and Anandini, two of them also were there after Echo Dave.
Right. Hare Krishna. Srimad Varaha Prabhu, please, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. It's been very enlightening hearing all this wonderful devotees speaking. MAHA-MANTRA Prabhu, sorry, Maharaj. There's some little. First, I'm happy that Guru Das Prabhu's name was mentioned because I was itching to mention his name.
Yes.
He was actually the first person in Benin before Echo Day Prabhu went there, because they've been going.
Srimad Varaha Acharya, you're breaking up.
President.
So we couldn't hear you.
Yeah, we couldn't hear you, so you might have to repeat yourself.
Okay. Is it okay now?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So I said that I have a couple of things in my head. One, that Guru Das Prabhu was mentioned because I've been itching to mention his name.
I was
actually in Benin before Echo Day Prabhu. He was already doing Harinam there with some devotees, and they were staying in some like abandoned hotel before Echo Day Prabhu went there and became the president. But Guru Das Prabhu was there with some devotees already as Harinam devotees. They were going there for Sankirtan. Okay, and then of course he was the first temple president in that place you described. It's like a clinic.
In Warri.
Woman gave one flat. The still building, and he gave the one in the middle. So I took over from him, from Guru Das Prabhu. I became the second president, and then we moved to a proper place. We went away from the lady's place.
Yes, I remember you came there also to help him.
Yeah. Actually, I took over from him.
Oh, you took over.
Yeah. And yes, then of course you're moving from you were going a lot of back and forth between Ghana and Nigeria.
Yes.
And
I moved to Ghana and came back to Nigeria and then went back to Ghana.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, for instance, you were in Port Harcourt. Yeah, first thing, the time you were locked up, that was in Port Harcourt, yes. But the time, when was this? What year was this?
This was just before when that coup took place. Is it Abacha? Who were the two people who had the coup? Abacha and
Abacha.
There were two coups. That was just before that coup. We were locked up because the coup protests were actually came to Port Harcourt to plot the coup there. So we were like considered, we didn't know who we were. So they came and took all of us and dumped us at the police station cell. And we were there for 1 month.
Wow.
Yeah, the only person who left was Madi Dave. He went to Lagos to report. So people were wondering where we were.
Okay. Then so you were in Port Harcourt when I came 1984. I came there to do Sankirtan. Gurudev asked me to go around the 3 temples that was existing at that time. To Sankirtan and encourage devotees in book distribution. So you were president, you were temple president then. That was
1984.
And yeah. And then you left finally. What year you left Nigeria finally?
End of 84 and to Ghana, 85.
Okay, that was because I met you in Port Harcourt as a TP in 1984. Say about 1 month or something.
Yeah, I was very appreciative of your work. You were very enthusiastic, just like when I was very much preaching. So yes, I remember. Yes, Upananda Prabhu was also instrumental in sending you folks to Benin. But I was thinking the Benin temple that was open where it was the first, this thing, it was Echo Dev who went there to open it. Is it not?
It moved from the where they were to, actually it was Anandini who got this place where they are now.
It was Anandini, okay.
Yeah, but the first temple was opened by Echo Dev, some small
yes, small place, yes.
In Benin.
Yes, I was there. I went and that's why I was thinking I got confused. There was a small, just a small house.
Yeah, small place.
Very good, very good.
It was from there they moved to the present location.
Yes.
Anandini
came there actually, and he was writing Anandini was writing a lot into the newspapers and then propagating Krishna consciousness in the various newspapers there. I remember that very well. Because I would journey from Port Harcourt and come and see them and go back. Then Avadut Maharaj told me about the doctor lady in Warri. It was then we went to Warri to see her, and then she gave us the place. And I was thinking it was what is his name? He was the first person we put there as the temple president.
Guru Das.
Yes.
Well, dear devotees, we thank you all. We believe we've come to the end of our Sangha for today. And of course, we can't thank you all enough for making this so beautiful. Of course, we know that the Vedic scriptures are already wonderful. But it is said they've become more beautiful since Shukadev Goswami touched on them. So even though these pastimes are already wonderful, but the mere fact that we have these great pioneers sharing them with us are even much, much, much nectarian. My humble suggestion to you all devotees is that you all should be mindful of your sodium intake tonight and tomorrow. Because if you take too much sodium, you might drink too much water and you may have to use the restroom more than you need to. Tomorrow, we're all going to have our butts glued to our seats because we have our precious mother speaking to us, Mother Prajalila. And with that, we're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute yourselves. And we all chant Hare Krishna Maha-Mantra to express our deepest appreciation to the Parampara, our gurus, and our revered speakers, and of course, the assembled Vaishnavi devotees, and those who may be watching or listening to this live on YouTube. Jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
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 Rama, Rama, Rama.
Kalpatare
Kripa Sinubia Eva Cha Patitana Pavibio, Mahina Bibio, Namo Namaha.
All glories to His Holiness Shanta Maharaj ki. Jai. All glories assembled Vaishnav devotees ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Oh, let me do this.
Oh gosh.